Well, good evening, sports fans. Welcome on back to Simple Racing Broadcast. It is the mid-season. We are into just about the halfway point of the Alliance Sim Racing Gard Supercar Championship. After tonight, we'll find ourselves at exactly the halfway point, and we'll get a bit of a picture of what's left to come in this championship race for Season 8. Tonight, though, we hit the streets of Long Beach, and although the temperatures around Australia are starting to cool down, the racing is absolutely starting to heat up. A street circuit always brings out the best in supercars, and tonight will no doubt be absolutely no exception to that. My name's Jared Cole, as always, in the booth tonight. I am joined by Isaac Fogarty. G'day, Isaac. Good to have you back again, mate.
G'day, Jared. G'day, everyone tuning in. It's it's a thrill to be back in the booth with you once again, and at Long Beach. And this track, it is absolutely built for these cars. Street circuit, close walls, some really tight left and right, almost 90-degree, even a lot tighter corners. The hairpin at the back end of the circuit is certainly going to provide a challenge for our drivers tonight. And I, for one, am very much looking forward to the two races that lay ahead of us tonight. And we'll look at it's going to be a challenge, that's for sure. The hardest part we saw in St. Petersburg especially was keeping it off the wall. Here, everyone's a little bit more seasoned with Long Beach. Everyone's done some laps around here in the past, but then again, it can all come undone pretty easily, especially when the walls are as close as they are.
Yeah, look, you say that, but then I think about the fountain. And every time, lap one of any race here, the fountain always generates something for us. It's a tough track to get around at the best of times when you load it up with a good number of supercars as well. When you're barging through and trying to force your way through a pack here, you've really got to pick your battles and pick your timing for a pass. There's plenty of opportunity there if you're brave enough to take it, and tonight we'll no doubt see who it is that fits that category. As you said, two races tonight, 30 laps in each, a compulsory pit stop in each race as well. A 50% fuel limit will restrict the drivers to how much they can take on board. I expect that we'll probably see most of the drivers split it pretty evenly, but of course safety cars will be the real consideration tonight. We'll take a quick look at the championship standings before we go on our regular hot lap around tonight's circuit. And this is how it stands before we get into this evening's racing. Connor Nixon out in front, just holding a lead over Luke Allman in second place. Both of them cracking the 1,000-point mark after round 4. Stephen Varga not too far behind and only 1 point ahead of Brian Borg in fourth place, with Mark Point and Troy Stonestreet and Ray Smith all in hot pursuit. The Cup Trophy class looking pretty close as well. James Hardy sitting in 8th overall is the leader of the Cup Trophy class, only 34 points ahead of Brett Horsell, and Abel Verban just another, 26 points behind, actually tied with Matt Vanderkraan for 10th overall. Andrew Hoffman only 4 points behind in the Cup Trophy as well. So two very, very close battles going on this season, which is always good news for keeping it exciting right to the end of the season. Looking forward to seeing what tonight brings, because something we've noted already, Isaac, is the absence of a few names tonight. We haven't seen Matt Vanderkraan get in here just yet, and I think there might be one or two others out of there as well. I haven't seen Brian Borg this evening, so there's going to be potentially a few changes here this evening.
Yeah, there's looking like a number of drivers that are not going to feature tonight, which could change up this championship as we know it. And this could be a really big opportunity for some people to gain points back. Brian Borg in a very commanding position in fourth place. Look, he's very competitive. It's not a major gap. It's only just 100 points or so back to Connor Nixon. It's not a huge gap. Things could change quickly. So missing out tonight for Brian Borg, he's going to miss out on some valuable points. But Luke Allman, he is right up there in behind Connor Nixon. This championship is going to be nice and close, which is exciting.
It absolutely will, and a big hello to everybody out in the chat. I see a Longsdale in there as well. Good to have you with us, mate. Luke Allman absolutely does fly around here, so it'll be interesting to see what he's got up the sleeve. Long Beach, always interesting. And on that note, we'll get underway and check out the hot lap with Simon Haynes, as always, in the Gard Mustang, taking us around what is one of the most well-recognised, I reckon, street circuits you'll find just about anywhere in racing. We head on down the very, very long main straight. And again, it's kind of a curved straight more than anything, but we'll take it. This break into turn 1 is really, really tough to get right, but you've got to nail it so you get a clean exit for the run down to the fountain. Then it feels like you're going so slow through here before getting back on the power on the exit. Mind your speed through these couple of corners. There's a few little bumps that can really catch you out if you're too heavy on the throttle, particularly those sausage curbs on the inside as we get the foot down and head back up the opposite direction on Shoreline Drive, getting ready for just a little moderate braking zone here into the left-hander. Get out of that one, and again up and over the crest, foot flat to the floor, and you've really got to nail the entry into this right-hander to get the speed down the back straight. Get close to that concrete barrier on the inside, all the way out to the wall on the left, and foot down as you start the run down. Now this is where you'll find the bravest drivers under brakes will win this final corner here. Turn right and get on in early as you get through and make your way towards a extended left-hand. It's two left corners, but it really feels like one. And then the treaded hairpin, where every time we come here we see some sort of issue there with a bit of congestion. I'm sure it'll be the same this evening. That is a lap of Long Beach thanks to Soledad Saint-Cobain and Simon Haynes behind the wheel. And I have no doubt that he'll tell us all about how it wasn't his best lap ever and how he thought he could have done better, but always looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, look, it's a fairly strong lap there from Simon Haynes. I don't think he should be too disappointed with that at all, and hopefully we might see him out in actually we won't see him out in the safety car tonight. He's not in, as I can see, in race control this evening. We've got Lucas Burt and Todd Martin joining us in race control this evening, so Simon Haynes just gets to run around in the supercar this week. But what a place to run around. I'm sure he would not have been disappointed about having to do that lap for us, and we always appreciate it because it gives us a bit of an insight in what we can expect from these cars. It's obviously, Jared, only one car on the track by itself, but once you add, we've got 24 cars on the grid tonight. Once you put 24 cars out there, anything can happen, especially when they're going 2 or 3 wide.
Yeah, and on that note, Simon Haynes actually not out there this evening either, so despite putting in the hot lap for us, he's actually not racing this evening either. Probably watching along at home somewhere. Give us a big hello in the chat if you're around, Simon. I'm sure you're floating around out there somewhere, just settling back, no doubt, and getting on with something else while leading in these guys to what is set to be, look, it's always going to be a pretty crazy time at Long Beach. I don't think I can recall ever coming here and being bored in the commentary booth, that's for sure. There's always plenty going on. Qualifying is just finishing up. We're about to get our results come through and get our grid for race 1 ready to roll, and we are just getting confirmation now. Here we go, folks. The grid for this first race is through. Damon Fisher and Mark Poynton will take the front row ahead of Paul Burns and Connor Nixon, then Troy Stonestreet and James Hardy on row 3. Honestly, Hardy has no place in Cup Trophy this season. He's just been so ridiculously quick. I don't know where he's found it. Luke Orman and Dave Diddell on row 4. Dave Diddell putting in a cracking qualifying time to land ahead of Daniel Yeaman and Stephen Varga, rounding out your top 10. As we go further back through the grid, Andrew Hoffman and Rick Vigar line up on row 6, then Troy Sipple and Brett Horsell alongside each other, Abel Verban and Brad Hayes behind them, with Jamie McKnight and Andrew Listener on row 9, Jason Dunn and Scotty Perrins rounding out your 20. Jason Dunn and Scott Perrins there, 19th and 20th. 21st and 22nd, Craig Rose and Ernie Toth. Then Brad Radu not setting a qualifying time. Ray Smith, neither a qualifying time there. So both of those guys on row 12. Ash Hall will start behind them. Todd Martin and Lucas Burt, as you said earlier, in race control, will be taking control of the safety car. And I'm tipping we're going to see them at least once per race tonight. Happy to be wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be this evening.
No, I don't think you will be wrong. There is a very high chance we'll see a safety car around here. It's so close. The walls are right there, as we've said a couple of times already. There's no room for error at this track, and I will not be surprised if there's a couple of drivers that are escorting each other wide and getting their elbows out on this start. Great to see Damon Fisher back up the top of the leaderboard. He had PC issues last week, which is why he was not able to compete at Virginia International Raceway, but he's back this weekend with a bang because he's put the car on pole, which is excellent.
Yeah, great start for him, and that, honestly, pole is where you want to be at Long Beach. If you're anywhere else, that first couple of laps is just pain, lots of pain. Sure, you've got a little bit of pressure just hoping everyone gets the braking right behind you if you're out in front, but at least there's no one to put it sideways in front of you to get around on that opening lap. Damon Fisher setting himself up for a really, really strong opening race here. The other thing I will note, and I could be wrong, but as I looked over the info for this evening's race, it doesn't look like we're getting a reverse grid at all in the second race, so it will be as they finished, I believe. We'll wait and get confirmation of that when we get there, of course, but that will be probably a nice change for the drivers who do earn their way to the top in race 1 this evening. A nice clear track lies ahead of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Will be nice for them to sort of finish where they start. They work hard to get to the front of the field. They deserve to stay there. So the only caveat is if you get all the way to the back end of the top 10, you fight your way into that 10th spot. You don't get the advantage of that having flipped and being on pole. So unfortunate, but I don't think we're too far away from getting a race start here.
Yeah, just a couple of drivers down the end of the grid jumping on now. We're just waiting at the moment on Brad Radu by the look of it as the last driver to grid, and we should be getting underway in just a moment. Damon Fisher and Mark Poynton on the front row will want a really, really strong start here. They don't want to lose positions, and they certainly don't want to be 3 or 4 wide as we get down to the braking zone for turn 1. That is the worst case scenario at this point. And look, anything's possible. But you really don't want to get monstered on the start line here at Long Beach. It's one of those tracks that just really doesn't give you any room for error right from the green light. We are just waiting on confirmation from race control at the moment that we're about to get underway, of course. Brad Radu's still not on the grid yet, so whether there's an issue there that they're just trying to sort out, I'm not sure. We've got the green flag at the back of the field. Let's go to the lights. They come up now. We are waiting for 5 reds, and then we're going racing here. Race 1 at Long Beach is underway. Fisher gets away to a brilliant start point and almost left standing still. A few changes already up and down through the field as we make our way down towards turn 1 for the first time, and we are absolutely full noise all the way down. We've got a couple of drivers side by side. There's a bit of contact already as one of the 266 entries. Paul Burns goes up the inside for 801 Sim Racing. It's a great opening round for him so far, but gets dropped back again behind Connor Nixon pretty quickly as they look at him check up through the fountain. It happens every time. You definitely don't want to be at the back end of the field here. Fisher, Point and Stone Street all out in front with Nixon, Burns and Yeaman behind. Luke Orman still there in it. Daniel Yeaman up 3 positions already. Troy Stone Street it was that actually got through early. He's up 2 positions into 3rd. A great start for him. The rest of the field just starting to sort it out behind them.
Yeah, very, very good start for the guys at the front of this field. Daniel the Dave Yeaman up into 6th place, 3 spots off the start here. 6 spots and 4 spots for Ray Smith and Ash Hall respectively. It doesn't look like we've got Brad Radu getting underway here in this one. He is a non-starter, unfortunately, so won't see him out there this evening, which is a shame, but we'll hopefully see him back next week. But Damon Fisher, it is a dream start, leads this field. Relatively decent margin, about just over half a second back to Mark Point at this stage. A little bit of parking the butts in the hairpin here. Look at all these cars to come through, absolutely car parks. A couple cars getting right into the back of each other. That was one of the 2-6 Sim cars, I believe. Brad Hayes or potentially Ernie Toth getting into the back of car in front there, but it's looking fairly settled at the front of this field at the moment. Jared Cull, everyone just getting into a rhythm here. 30 laps, it's a decent amount of time. They've got about 40 minutes to try and sort this one out. They don't want to rush here too early because you'll burn through your tyre. You've only got 1 compulsory pit stop to serve. And the last thing you want to do is throw it down the inside, go aggressive early on and create a mistake for yourself.
Yeah, and particularly with this circuit, if you do find yourself spun around, or even worse, having to run up one of the escape roads, you've got to wait for the whole field to come through. There's no good break. There's no way to just ease your way back onto the track. You're basically stuck there, especially in these opening laps. So everyone will be taking it pretty cautiously, I dare say, as they start to get settled in for this opening race. Just a few laps in, they'll be able to push on a little bit, but of course these tyres will be almost done by that stage. It's always such a trade-off when you come racing with Jensby Supercars. Already starting to see a few moves here. Ray Smith moves ahead of Jason Dunn in that heavy braking zone at the end of the back straight and gets the exit, looking very, very tidy indeed. Out in front, David Fisher's had a poor exit out of the hairpin, and look at Mark Point absolutely monster him down the straight. Here we go, side by side. Is Point going to go up the inside? He absolutely is. Late under brakes, gets the move done. David Fisher will have to respond.
Yeah, Damon Fisher just didn't quite get the line at the hairpin. You could see he ran wide there on the turn-in, which compromised his exit. Mark Poynton wider on the entry meant that he got narrow on the exit, was able to get the drive off the corner to set himself up, and he very late on the brakes. I thought he wasn't going to quite make the corner, and Damon Fisher had to elect to back out of it. You can see already the pace that Poynton's got. Troy Stone Street not long ago did the fastest lap of the race. He is the quickest car on circuit at the moment. He is now the car that is going to start to put pressure on the back of Damon Fisher. The last thing Damon Fisher needs here is to go backwards. He does not want to continue to drop places. He needs to try and get himself back into a rhythm, reset. Yes, he's lost a place, but taking a moment to maybe just reset himself, focus on the car in front, focus on where his braking markers are. Don't try and focus on looking backwards. The last thing you want to do is trying to see where everybody else is. The moment you start looking behind you, it's going to create a lot more problems, and you'll continue to lose a lot more places. Luke Allman putting pressure on Daniel Yeaman at the moment. He is trying to move up into 6th place. Luke Allman, the man that sits roughly 25 points, 25 or 30 points behind our championship leader, Connor Nixon. He is in a strong position to be a contender in this championship later on in the season. But for now, every single place matters, and his key championship rival, Connor Nixon, sits up in 4th.
Yeah, Allman just sitting in for mode, hasn't actually managed to move forward. Yeaman got past very, very early on, picked up a few spots early in the piece, and you can see the battle starting to separate a little here. Connor Nixon actually just becoming the tail end of that front battle, and Paul Burns leading this now 2nd pack. I'm actually surprised to see Craig Rose back in 22nd as the first person I've noticed get a slowdown here. There's a couple of corners where these guys often do really exploit the inside of the track limits as they go over the apex, particularly that couple of corners on the way out from the fountain section. You can really push it all the way to the inside of the circuit, but there is a limit to it. You will pick up slowdown. I reckon that's probably what's happened back there for Rosie. As we check out Andrew Hoffman sitting in 13th at the moment, a couple of Cup Trophy drivers either side in the form of Abel Verban and Troy Sippel. Rick Vigar just ahead of this group, and this is the battle for 11th. It's a little way up from here to James Hardy, who found himself with a nice little 3 and a bit second buffer sitting behind him, so he can really focus forwards. But have a look at the gaps at the top of this tower. Realistically, less than 8/10 between just about all the drivers, with the exception of Paul Burns now just serving that slowdown. He's going to really hold things up here. And look at Daniel Yeaman, he's really keen to get moving, doesn't want to be held up here at all. Burns, meanwhile, trying desperately to clear this slowdown so he can actually put the foot down. I don't know if Yeaman's quite going to get there because Burns has just cleared it. But look at Yeaman go up the inside. They're going to go 3 wide here almost, as Luke Allman finds himself looking at the outside wall and just wondering if he's going to get punched into it. They get it sorted out, but that's brought Dave Vidal into it in 8th as well. Stephen Varga now looking at the back of this train and thinking about getting onto it as well.
It's inviting a few other members to this party. The train started by Paul Burns, all from that slowdown. Ernie Toth in 23rd place, trying to find a way past Craig Rose, who you said earlier also had served a slowdown penalty. These guys just battling away at the back of this field. Scott Perrin's down 4 spots off the start here, so not the best start for him. He'll be hoping he can fight back as we get further into this race. This is still going on at the front though. Damon Fisher, Troy Stone Street, Connor Nixon, within about half a second of each other at the moment. Pretty close between these 3. And then Paul Burns, Daniel Yeaman and Luke Allman also pretty close together at the behind this group. So 2 key groups of cars at the front end here, Jared Cole. But the great thing for Mark Poynton is they're all battling, so he can try and pull away.
A bit of a moment
right
there. Fisher goes wide, so that's going to do a little bit of damage. It's certainly going to cost you a lot of speed. Stone Street goes through. Nixon's going to look up the inside and really force the issue here. Doesn't quite get up alongside, so Fisher's going to hold on to it for just a moment. I think he got very, very lucky there not to sustain more damage. It looks like it's barely a scrape despite hitting the tyre barrier pretty hard. Regardless, Connor Nixon goes around the outside. Now they're going to touch panels all the way up this back straight. Let's see who breaks first at the other end of it. They're side by side, neither one giving an inch of racing room. And at the last moment, Damon Fisher gets on the brakes, allows Connor Nixon to get ahead. He'll settle in there rather than risk the position. and look for an opportunity to take it back again. Mark Point opens it up to just over a second and a half out in front. And Connor Nixon now looking to have to try and chase down Stone Street, who's opened up his own little gap with these two battling it out.
Yeah, it's going to be a key opportunity here for Stone Street to try and pull away. He knows that this is really going to start to matter now, trying to build breathing room. It's the same for this group. Whoever can get in front will know that they need to try and pull away as soon as possible. Daniel Yeaman, he will want to clear Paul Burns before Luke Orman can launch a move on him, because he's in a situation here where he really wants to look forward, but he also has to look backwards a little bit to try and make sure that he's aware of that 266 Chevy Camaro. He's not doing anything untoward, trying to stick a nose up the inside or anything, because you look at how close he is to the back here as they come out of the right-hander down towards the back end of the circuit now. That's a nice exit from both of them, but very much a narrower line. You can see the difference they're taking in the corners, some of these drivers, as Luke Orman just searches for a bit of road to try and find a way past. Jamie McKnight sitting in a nice queue of cars here. It starts at Troy Sipple in 13th place, goes all the way down really to Andrew Lissner in 18th place is when you get to out somewhat the next driver is outside half a second. So they're all sort of close together in this little group at the moment. The last battle pack for the back end of the top 15. And a lot of the Trophy Cup drivers in here battling for the podium, well, not the podium place. Sable Verban's a fair way up the road. But a lap 1 incident 5-second penalty to car 888. So that is Scott Perrins. The contact
what happened there. I don't recall seeing anything
Ernie Toth
particularly significant, but maybe something on the start that we missed that got hidden away behind some of the action up front. I didn't think there was anything particularly worth looking at. However, we might go back and take a bit of a look at it, because I can see in my little list here of moves and shakes and all of that goes on, a bit of back and forth between Toth and Perrins, and then Toth being recorded as crashing. Now, whether that's accurate or not, I reckon the only way is for us to go back and have a bit of a look at it. So let's see if we can see what's happened to Ernie Toth here, and watch for him on the left side there, the 266 sim racing entry just next to Ray Smith, goes up alongside Perrins here. Definitely nothing in that there. Was it? Oh, there it is. Maybe just not enough room given on exit there. Oh no!
No, that's it. Found it.
That look, found it. Yeah, just a little bit of a nudge there, and I think a 5-second probably reasonably well adjusted. I think for that one. Not a massive issue at this point for Toth, but hopefully he can recover a bit there. As we see Paul Burns and Daniel Yeaman swapping positions on the run down into turn 1. Yeaman goes through and Burns will tuck in behind and try to crack this pretty quick after very close contact through the apex there, and almost big check-up behind Burns and Allman almost come together as well. I think Yeaman just a little bit harder on the brakes for a little bit longer than Burns was expecting. That Chubby Buns replay that we just saw for Perrins and Toth, incidentally, really does show off how little room for error there is as you get through that quiet street section. It's a canyon through there just after the fountain. There's really no room at all, and if you get overlapped in even the slightest way, you're almost guaranteed to turn someone around.
Oh, absolutely. It is so narrow. There is not a lot of room for error at all. They spoke in the driver's briefing as well about how the drivers need to be aware of just being checked up through that fountain, especially on restarts, but even just when you're battling close with other cars, and we saw that exemplified just there. Daniel Yeaman, he did well to get past Burns. He's been working at that for a while, so he'll try and pull a gap now before Luke Orman finds a way past Burns, because he's working hard as well. They've both got more pace than the car in front at the moment, than the 801 sim racing car, but he will make it difficult for them, as he has been, and Daniel Yeaman needs to take full advantage. This is Jamie McKnight trying to find a way past. He's turned Andrew Hoffman with a bit of contact between Hoffman and McKnight, it does appear, and McKnight is trying to wait to redress, but Hoffman is just facing the wrong way and parked up. And unfortunately, I think for McKnight at this stage, it's probably better off just to push on and take the penalty, because sitting here and waiting, you're just going to put yourself in a dangerous position, travelling as slow as you are. So he'll continue on. He's probably, I definitely get the impression here, he knows he's definitely done wrong with the contact on exit. It was super tricky. They were so slow again, checking up through the hairpin there at the final corner. And as a result, there was contact between McKnight and Hoffman, and Hoffman now dives into the pit lane, so will take the opportunity to serve his mandatory pit stop. Probably a little bit earlier than he would have planned, but at least he's getting it out of the way.
I don't think it is earlier than planned at all. I think we'll go back and take a look at it in just a moment as we take an eye over the battle out in front. Troy Stonestreet's reeled in Mark Point over the last few laps, and here comes Connor Nixon as well, so we're about to have a three-way battle for the lead. I actually think Hoffman was heading for the pits, and McKnight probably wasn't expecting it, and so Hoffman's come across in front. I think that's what we'll see when we take another look at it in just a moment. A couple of close battles going on right throughout the field, though. Still this one, just in the tail end of that top 10. Paul Burns, Luke Gorman trying desperately to catch up to Yeaman up ahead. David Bell and Stephen Varga, meanwhile, in the background, just trying to keep in touch with this mid-pack group. Really, a fair bit of separation between kind of Connor Nixon, Damon Fisher, and then into Daniel Yeaman before we start to get into this particular little bunch here. But let's go back and see what we get from that issue for Andrew Hoffman, just out of the hairpin. The Chubby Buns replay, as always, will show us this. Watch carefully. I reckon he's actually about to turn across and start heading for the pits here. That's a really aggressive... Yeah, he's gone... And look, that is what it is. I think he probably got a little bit slower through that turn than he was anticipating. But maybe a late decision to head for the pits as well. I don't know. In either case, it didn't look particularly well communicated through the car's body language in terms of what McKnight would have been seeing from his perspective. So it'll be interesting to see what the stewards and race control make of that one. I don't really look. I don't really have a call on it either way, honestly.
Yeah, it's a very tricky one. We'll wait and see what they say and what they come back with. But here we go. This is Troy Stonestreet, Connor Nixon. Nixon up the inside of Stonestreet. Got that done.
Did it?
He's gone. No, he didn't. He's gone straight into the wall. So I looked at it. I thought he had that done. All of a sudden, we've cut to a camera where he's disappeared, and it's just Troy Stonestreet. That's massive damage to the front of the ODBM Logitech car.
Yeah, he's damaged the engine in a big way there.
Yeah, that is huge amounts of smoke coming through. That may stop. That's maybe a safety car here, because that car, he's parked it. I don't think that's going anywhere.
No, I expect we're about to see a safety car. The question will be, for all those drivers who haven't yet come in for that compulsory pit stop, are they about to make a jump for it?
I would imagine they would.
We'll wait and see. That was...
Yeah, that was
in the car. Yeah, Bird's getting the straps done up, so he'll be out on track in no time, I'm sure. Mark Point just about to round that final corner. We're just waiting to see confirmation, but I'm pretty comfortable that we are about to see Lucas Bird called onto the track for the first time this evening. I was going to say earlier, and we got a little bit sidetracked. Here they all come. Watch them all dive in now.
Watch them all.
Yep. It's all going to happen here. Everyone that hasn't pitted yet will absolutely be streaming in.
You need like a pit lane cam, don't you? Just a camera mounted to watch them all dive into the pit lane, because that's exactly what they're all going to be doing, and jumping into the lane. What this is huge for, I should point out, Jared Cole, is for the championship. Luke Orman, 6th place. Yes, that's not maybe exactly where he wants to be, but in the grand scheme of things, Connor Nixon is now 22nd, could go lower once this safety car period sorts itself out. This could be huge for the championship.
It could be. You're absolutely right. As Mark Point gets out of the pits just a little bit quicker than he was perhaps anticipating. He manages to hold on to first place, but actually Stonestreet's had a cracker of a stop. He's actually out very, very quickly and will gain a little bit of space here. It won't make a huge difference, of course, because they're just going to catch up to the Chubby Buns safety car. There's the car of Connor Nixon, and it is in pretty bad shape. There's no two ways about it.
Can we get some fireys on that, please?
Oh, what's a little bit of smoke between friends, right? It's not ideal. It's not ideal, but we'll get that sorted in no time, I'm sure. Everybody, mind you, everybody there has now been through the pits with the exception of Connor Nixon. So the front 12 all coming through on lap 12 to take their pit stop.
There you go. Well, that and Connor Nixon technically will serve his pit stop when he comes back in to fix that engine when he gets towed back to the pit. So I'd argue that. I don't know if in the rule book that counts, but I would argue that technically he'll be serving a pit stop. So we will have everyone serve their pit stop, I'd say, by the end of this safety car period. But yes, as you said, the top 12 cars all pitting on lap 12. A replay now. This is exactly what happened to Connor Nixon. So watch here, folks. Side by side. Oh, contact with the wall, and I reckon that's been part of it. I don't know. He's locked up. Big lock up.
Look at the line of
He's not turning.
Rubber he's left behind. Yeah, he's just locked it up completely on the way in. And yeah, maybe a little bit of damage. Yeah,
I think, look at that front left. I think he's broken that on the first contact with that outside wall. I think the front left is broken and he's not able to turn the car in. That is the way that car, when he came to the corner, yes, he locked it up, but the way that car behaved through the corner, he should have got more rotation than that. They've all been getting a lot of rotation through there, even at a higher speed. That car was not turning at all. Watch this contact with the wall here, folks. All the way around the outside, whack, right there. That's broken the front left, I want to say. I don't think that wheel is in a good way at all.
As you look at it there, huge amount of camber on it as he's coming towards the camera there. I think you're absolutely spot on. I suspect that's been a massive part of that. And yeah, unfortunately for Nixon, probably didn't have any real way to know that it had done that much damage. We just thought he glanced off the wall there, but it actually did clip that front left pretty hard. Not good news for him or his championship battle, but a fast repair and he'll be back out on track and we'll try and recover something from this opening race. So I suppose this is probably one of the moments where he'll be very, very thankful for some of the top names not being here tonight as well.
Yeah, look, he's certainly going to be thankful that there's not a lot of, well, there is a few names. There's still a lot of big names up there, but there's no
really
Matt Vanderkram. There's still a lot of really fast. There's no Matt Vanderkram. There's no Brian Borg. There's no Jason Bentz either. And we know Bentz is a particularly difficult car to pass on track. So he'll be very glad that when he gets to the second race this evening, there's not as much damage to his championship. But for someone like Luke Orman, Troy Stone Street as well, Mark Poynton is in a great spot. Daniel Yeaman is in a brilliant spot. So is Damon Fisher. All these guys are in a brilliant spot. Think about James Hardy as well. He's sitting in P10. He's not first in class. Dave Dell is first in class. But James Hardy could find himself, before the evening is over, if things keep going this way, he could find himself in the top 5 of the championship, which would be massive. Absolutely massive for a trophy class driver.
Yeah, absolutely would be. Really, we're halfway there. He's held on this long. Surely he's still got it in from here. Pit stops are all done. It's a 15-lap sprint to the finish here, and Poynton will take us away as he comes down the hairpin. Now, this is the question, and this is the one I'm always interested to see at Long Beach. You've got an opportunity to really hold everybody up as the lead car here through this hairpin. Look at how wide he swings it to give himself the best possible line. He's going to boot this early. There he goes, straight away onto it. Wants to get going as quickly as he possibly can as we come across the line. We're under green flag conditions again. Let's go racing for the second half of this 30-lapper here at Long Beach with the Alliance Sim Racing Gard Supercar Championship. Mark Poynton takes us on down to turn 1. And look, I think that's probably about the best start you can hope for. What I was going to say before he made the jump there, it is one of those turns where you can actually take full advantage of a bit of a concertina behind you if you just hold off your pace a little bit longer than people are expecting to. It can really jam everything. Well, look at him slide it there on the exit of that corner. Poynton really wants to open this gap back up. He knows Stone Street is a real threat if he gets in close to him. So he wants to keep that gap open and keep Stone Street looking in the rearview mirror at Daniel Yeaman, who's right in behind him. Luke Orman, meanwhile, all over the back end of Paul Burns. He wants that 5th place.
He is really, really keen to get past. He was trying to do that before the safety car, and now safety car period, I think, has just given everyone a chance to breathe. Luke Orman has been working hard at the rear of Paul Burns for a number of laps now, all the way pretty much since the start of the race. Daniel Yeaman found his way past and pretty much disappeared off into the distance, and Luke Orman, again, this 801 Sim Racing Chevy Camaro has been super wide. Difficult to get past. You have to work hard for it. Luke Orman, he will work hard for it. There is the man down the bottom of your screen in his cockpit. it's great to see him, and I love these cameras, Jared, just getting an understanding, especially with Luke Orman. I love the way he's got it set up. You can see just how focused he is. He's always got a hat on, and I'm glad to see the hat back. I was a bit worried last time when we didn't have the hat on that it wasn't going to go his way without. I think the hat. Well, we said it was a good luck charm not to have it. I think it's actually a better luck charm if he does have the hat on. So it's great to see he's got it back on this week. I'm sure he had it on last week as well, and he's got the gloves on as well, which the gloves are looking pretty nice this week.
Those are new, I recken. If we
sure,
get him
they're
in the
pretty
booth
shiny.
later, yeah, I don't think I recall seeing those on his hands before. So just getting himself a nice little bit of extra grip on the wheel there, I'm certain. And whether that's playing any massive part outside of a psychological benefit is anyone's guess. Right now, though, he's in a pretty strong position, only a couple of tenths off the back of Paul Burns as he searches for one extra position here as we get just past the midway point of this race. Still a few battles going on close behind as well, and this is one of the joys of the safety car at Long Beach. Really compresses the field up. Behind him, Dave Diddell, Stephen Varga, Rick Vigard, James Hardy, all in amongst it. Dave Diddell's having a great run in the Cup Trophy class tonight. He's up one position, but he has maintained that position pretty nicely. James Hardy, after a great qualifying result, ended up in 6th, but he's down 4 spots into 10th now, and he's looking backwards at Abel Verban and Troy Sippel, who are both right on his tail. Well, it doesn't look it so much as he comes down the main straight. There's really not a lot in it at this point. So Verban and Sippel will have to just keep the head down and try and get just a little closer, if they can, to James Hardy and start to challenge for the Cup Trophy podium here in race 1.
Yeah, and I think James Hardy be hoping that Vargs and Vigar can put a little bit of pressure on Dave Diddell, maybe get past him if they can, if they've got the pace, and put him back into the clutches of James Hardy. He's trying to stick with that group, so there can be a couple overtakes done. We could see a battle for the leader of that Cup Trophy class within then these last sort of 13, 14 laps that we have here in the first race. But now we focus on, this is Brett Horsell right in behind Jamie McKnight, pushing. That's a really nice exit actually for Horsell. This could be a move if he's bold enough down into the heavy braking zone. The left-hander, McKnight covered, pulled across.
Right across into the centre of the back straight. You don't often see that down there. But McKnight knew he had the slower run out of that exit, so he's made that really, really difficult. Just forced Horsell to pick a side, and in the end, Horsell just leaving that corner a little bit wider open for himself by doing that. Again, down the front straight, Luke Woolman right on the back of Paul Burns, just keeping the pressure applied. Someone's gonna break here. I know someone's gonna step this car out a little too far, I'm sure. The question is whether it's going to be Burns or Orman at this point, because they're both pushing on very, very hard. Nice fresh tyres off that pit stop, so they know they've only got probably another lap or two before the tyres start to give out on them. And really, that's better news for Burns than it is for Orman, because defending here at Long Beach is probably the easier prospect compared to trying to manufacture a pass around these circuits.
Yeah, look, if you can chain a couple of corners together, you certainly can go. We've got lap 13, 5-second penalty for an unsafe release to car 39. That's Dave Diddell with a 5-second penalty, and at the moment, that will put him behind James Hardy. That will actually, if I have a look for you folks, that will drop him all the way back to behind Troy Sippel.
Now that'll be a pit lane issue.
Yeah, behind Troy Sippel. Yeah, that will be a pit lane issue, absolutely. So that will be his not given way to a car in the pit lane, which is an interesting. I don't think I've seen too many of those in the past, but I guess when you have so many cars pitting under safety car, that certainly can happen.
It's worth us having a look at because it is such a rare thing. I'm just having a look back to see if we can catch it and see just how problematic it must have been for that to get called. But yeah, as we said, a huge influx of cars under the safety car there into the pits, and that's not at all surprising. Let's see if we can get a bit of an overhead view. This is Dave Diddell on the Chubby Buns replay. That's blue and white 266 sim racing entry right in the middle, just about to drop off the jacks there. Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. That was an interesting one. We get behind the hospital for just a moment. Yeah, probably a little bit closer than they would have liked. But,
yeah, it was just an interesting one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know quite how how you determine that any other way. I mean, they both started rolling at the same time, but Goodell really seemed to take a lot longer to get rolling. I mean, he obviously took a lot longer to get rolling there compared to Varga. Look, thankfully they've sorted it out without any major issues in terms of contact or anything like that. But yeah, something a little bit different. I think that's a new one for us here.
It certainly is a new one. It's yeah. Look, I'm just trying to get my head around if we have seen that before, and I really don't recall the last time that I did.
We've definitely seen pit lane penalties or pit lane infringements rather for drivers not staying in the fast lane when transiting the pits. They're only allowed to come across from that fast lane into their pit bay within 3 or 5 pit boxes. I can never remember the exact number for some reason, but it's only a pretty short transition across that they're allowed both in and out of their pit bay. But that's a bit of a new one. Jason Dunn getting very, very loose there as he tries to hold on to Ash Hall for 18th. Rear end of that car starting to show that the tyres may be struggling a little more here at Long Beach than we perhaps anticipated. They're relatively new. You're going to put them on lap 12 when most of the rest of the field came in, but 8 laps around here, that's enough to really start testing the limits of them for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to look down this grid at what we're looking at in terms of the tyre ages in some of these cars as well, because as we get deeper into this race, the tyres will start to play a factor around here. And looking at Jason Dunn, he did pit on lap 12, but there's a couple of cars around him pitted on lap 8, lap 9. Ray Smith as well as someone to look out for, as well as Andrew Listener. They both pitted on lap 8, so running on older tyres. Keep in mind, a couple of these guys, well, everyone that pitted on lap 12 got just a bunch of laps, or a couple of laps behind the safety car. Everyone that's pitted on lap 8 had to run pretty much a large number of laps on green running before they actually got to cool those tyres back down. So whether that's hurt the tyres a little bit more will remain to be seen. Connor Nixon looks like, unfortunately, he is out of this race. We should see him back for race 2, fingers crossed, but he is not going to be seen again for the remainder of race number 1 this evening, which is super disappointing for our championship leader. But hopefully he can work his way back through the field. That will be a nice story to follow in race number 2, Jared, watching him come from the back of the grid.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. Mark Boynton, Troy Stonestreet and Daniel Yeaman now all bunched up at the front of this field. And a bit of a... I feel like we're getting called out here a little bit, but thanks Wake Craig for calling it on us. Luke Allman getting past Paul Burns in the background while we were having a look at that pit penalty. Let's go back and take a look and see just how good of an overtake that was. He's been working on it for quite a while. And Allman, Jesus, has he got this done under brakes here? Absolutely has. Down the back straight, deep under brakes up the inside, and forces that car on through. Very, very nicely executed. And I tell you what, there wasn't much in it, but being up alongside on the entry to the corner, there wasn't really much that the Burns could do to counter it once he got alongside. It was just a battle of the late breakers, as it often is.
Yeah, it was a beautiful move from Luke Allman. He positioned the car perfectly, got on the brakes. It's super difficult into there. Look, being a street circuit, the road surface isn't always flat. It's a little bit bumpy. All the circuits on iRacing are laser scanned, which gives us the best accurate profiling of the road as it would be in real life. And you can see there under brakes, just the rear end of Mark Point's car come down sideways from Stone Street. He's got got the rally car sideways, opposite lock happening on the exit, and he'll have to try and settle himself down. But that tells a story about how well those rear tyres are running as well, Jared Cole, because it's certainly looking like there's what's all happening here as well. This is for sheep stations down in 18th, 19th and 20th. Ernie Toth, Jason Dunn, Ash Hall, wide there for Ernie Toth. Contact as well with Andrew Hoffman, so contact between Toth and Hoffman into the second to last corner. And now they'll get that sorted out. They'll get rolling once again, but they're right down the back of this field. And they've lost a handful of positions there to Scott Perrins, it does appear. It's getting messy now, Jared, as we get towards the end of the race. But you can see there for Stone Street, he had the car cranked sideways, and I think those rear tyres are just starting to work overtime to keep these cars heading in the right direction.
It was coming though, you could see, I mean, we almost went 3 wide at the end of that back straight, and you could tell that there was something about to happen there. It was a question of whether everyone was going to survive, and they almost did, but the little touch between Ash Hall and Ernie Toth was just enough to upset the car for Toth and Andrew Hoffman. Unfortunately, just that little bit of an extra nudge was all it took to send him sideways. And yeah, look, getting an upgrade to cashews from peanuts. I don't know if cashews are an upgrade from peanuts. Wait, I'm a bit of a peanut fan, honestly. So I'm happy with being a peanut. I'll stick with that. I've got no problem with that as a title. Out in front, Point and Stone Street and Yeaman, still nothing to separate these three, but they are well and truly starting to separate themselves from the chasing pack. Damon Fisher still hanging around though, still there in 4th. Luke Allman getting closer and closer to try and take another position. And who was it that said earlier? It was Logsdale in the chat somewhere there, and with apologies, I can never remember from the username whether it's David or Dean. But it's one of the Logsdales in the chat just pointing out that Luke Allman flies around here, and geez, isn't he showing it off now? Look at this, closing in behind his teammate Damon Fisher very, very quickly. He's opened up a 3.3 second gap over Paul Burns since overtaking him.
Wow, that is a huge gap, and that just shows the pace that he has as well, and how hard it is to overtake around here once you're actually clear of the car behind. A bit of a contact with the wall there for Damon Fisher, so the teammates now about to do battle, and Damon Fisher can sense that Luke Allman's coming. He's pushing a little bit harder, making contact with that wall on the right rear. We saw what that did to Connor Nixon earlier, and look how wide he's getting Damon Fisher, pushing this car as much as possible. Luke Allman, though, feels like he is on rails at the moment, the way this car is positioned.
Yeah, handling very, very nicely indeed. Look, he's going to be in a great position for the next race, even if this is where he ends up finishing. But he's still got 5 laps to figure this out. The challenge, as always, will be, once he catches Fisher, how did he get past? You saw how long it took him to get past Paul Burns. Fisher's no slouch either. So there's still a fair bit of work to be done here, and really it's slowing both of these guys down if they do get caught up in it, from trying to catch the 3 up ahead. Point, Stone Street, Yeaman at the moment still a 2.5 second gap. There's an opportunity here maybe for the 266 boys to work alongside each other and start to close that gap, but I feel like it might be even just a little bit too late in the day to make much of an impact here in race 1.
Well, I can confirm they're in a Discord call together at the moment, so they are in communication. Could there be a little bit of team game played, a bit of gamesmanship? Maybe the swapping of positions to think about the championship for Luke Allman. I know it's only round 5, but it could be a bit of a game played. Abel Verban up the inside of James Hardy. That did well not to make contact there. James Hardy makes contact with the outside wall, similar to what Damon Fisher did earlier on. That was heavy contact, but it seems he's gotten away with it. Nothing broken on that car at this stage. Still pointing in the right direction. Abel Verban doing everything he can to try and get inside this top 10. Dave Diddell still carrying a 5-second penalty, but at the moment it will keep him in front of James Hardy. So Dave Diddell is pushing on as hard as he can. It's actually playing into his hands. He is about to battle with Paul Burns, so the next 266 sim car in the queue starts to do battle with Paul Burns, but he is currently 5 seconds clear of James Hardy. The last thing he wants to do, though, is get caught up in this battle too much and give away all of that margin.
Yeah, it'll be a pretty close thing here, and he really can't afford to get stuck behind Burns. At the moment, Burns is keeping a pretty good pace up, though, so should be pretty well on track to do that. Only a few more laps to go here in race 1 as Ray Smith closes in behind Andrew Lister. This is the battle for 13th. Smith up 10 positions since starting in 24th, so absolutely charging through despite not making a qualifying time. Out in front though, this is starting to heat up. Mark Point, look how defensive he is against Stone Street here down the back straight. Stone Street has absolutely got pace over him. Yeaman just tucking behind the slide from Stone Street all the way out of the exit as they come towards the hairpin again. Now, what's Stone Street got in store? Have a look at Yeaman. Goes very, very wide on the entry. Tries to tighten up that exit. A big light up of the rears from Stone Street. That's going to cost him some time to Point. So Point is going to get just a brief reprieve here. Can Yeaman do anything to close in on Stone Street and put some more pressure on?
Yeah, that's the question. Can he get something happening here before the end of the race? There's a whole lot of time left. We could see a three-way battle for this lead, though. Poynton will be hoping that Yeaman can start to put the pressure on Stone Street, because that could give him breathing room. But if they both work together and sit in behind Poynton, this could create a bit of a headache for Mark Poynton, because he could lose not just one spot, but 2 spots if he's not got his wits about him. And with 3 laps to go at the line, there is not a lot of time left for them to make something happen. They're going to have to push as hard as they can. Does Luke Allman have the pace if he can get past Jamin Fisher to close up to this group as well? If they battle the way they could do here at the end, that certainly is a possibility, but they're going to have to battle pretty hard.
And just behind them, Stephen Varga now putting the pressure on Dave Diddell, as we see. It's Craig Rose just getting off to the side, getting out of the way as lap traffic comes on through. He's going to just let a few more drivers through, because there's not a lot of room to move around there. Here goes Varga looking up the inside. He's got the run down the back straight. Surely under brakes here. He should have it. Heavy on the brakes. You can see the rotors glow as they come through there. He's going to get alongside, and he's well positioned. Even if he can't quite clear Diddell here, he should get him at the hairpin. They're still side by side though. Varga's not going to have quite as much room in the exit as he'd like, but that'll do. And he gets on through, takes 7th, David Diddell back to 8th place. The important one to watch is the gap back to Hardy. That's now down to just 4 seconds, even less, 3.6. So Diddell's had a bit of a struggle on that last lap, and it's really cost him some time.
Yeah, he's unfortunately lost some time there, and we knew this could have happened. We knew that battling with Burns could go one of 2 ways. It could get past pretty easily. It could serve him really well, or it was going to cost him time, and it absolutely has cost him time, put him back within striking distance of James Hardy. Now he will drop, if I get my little gaps up for you folks, we'll drop him behind Hardy. He'll still finish in front of Verban, but at this stage he will finish behind James Hardy. So unfortunately for Dave Diddell, that has been a significant cost in time with that penalty. Ray Smith looking up the inside of Evangelista, not able to get it done on that occasion, but he's looking very aggressive. I think the gloves are starting to come off now. We're getting to the end of this race, Jared Cole.
I mean, he's up 10 spots. I think they've been off since he started, honestly. I don't think he even took the gloves into the car with him at this stage. Ray Smith absolutely on a warpath to try and recover some points here after starting so far back in the field. The interesting thing about those penalties, you know, we're talking points in terms of the difference that it'll make for Dave Diddell, but his finishing position won't be impacted here. Those post-race penalties can't be applied between races unless the ASR admins know something that I don't about what you can do with grid positioning between races. So Dave Diddell will still start in his finishing position for race number 2. He won't actually drop down through the field for that. So it's an interesting one, right? And it's something that I will say I have requested very kindly of the iRacing devs on the support forums to add in some kind of functionality to allow race admins. Oh, look at this from Andrew Hoffman up the inside from Scott Perrins, picks up a late spot up into 20th there. Great little move in turn 1. Something I've requested though is an opportunity for an admin command to actually apply time penalties during the race. I mean, we've got the slowdown feature built into the sim. Shouldn't be that much of an ask, I'm sure, to add a chat command to force a slowdown during race.
Yeah, it certainly should. It could be a really good option for us to bring us straight
into the wall.
Oh no! That's huge contact for Stone Street. Oh, they're going to have to navigate this. Oh, they both get past only just. Stone Street's going to have to hold while the train go through. He does flick it around offline. Gets it going again, and that's going to be looked at by the stewards. They don't have a lot of time though. We're on the final lap now. The white flag is being shown. Stone Street, they're going to have to look at this pretty quick. We may get a result of that coming up in the second race later on, but that is for Troy Stone Street. Super unfortunate. Massive contact in the wall, facing the wrong way. Got it flicked around. Here we go. This is the replay. Checks up. It's a little bit narrow on the corner to go defensive. Side-by-side contact. Oh, he has. It looks like there was a little bit of side-to-side contact maybe between the two of them, but then
just in the exit, but nothing in it for the exit spin. It's just the track surface.
It's a nice burnout.
Oh yeah, absolute points for the flick spin and the smoke show. Can't take anything away from him on that one, but unfortunately, won't translate into more points for him for anything other than bragging rights, really. The one that's got the bragging rights most of all this evening, though, Mark Poynton will come home to take race one. He's just got to navigate this final hairpin one more time. And Yeaman, as much as he's going to try and push on, I don't think he's quite going to have the time to get there as they come on down the main straight. One last time here, race one. Look at Yeaman in the background lighting it up. There's the flash of the lights. Across the line comes Poynton. Yeaman comes home, and Damon Fisher finds himself back on the podium. Luke Orman just barely off it. Only 6.5 tenths behind Fisher in the end. So a great result for 266 Sim Racing. Not many battles left on track as the rest of the field comes on through. Out of the final turn, I don't think there's going to be any challenge here for Jay McKnight to hold off Brett Horsell. So both Hayes and Horsell will finish either side of McKnight, and then we just wait on the rest of the field to filter on through, because there's not a great deal of close racing behind that. Everyone's kind of found themselves out and about. Jason Dunn just sneaks across the line though in 18th, only 4 tenths. I think he might be out of fuel.
That very well could be a possibility here. That is, wow, at the line, out of fuel.
That's perfect fueling then, isn't it? Surely. Ernie Toth, the last one to come home and greet the checkered flag in 22nd. Craig Rose and Connor Nixon both finishing off the lead lap, unfortunately, which means we have results for Heat 1 available to us now. Let's take a look at how they finished up. And of course, this is before any of those penalties we were speaking about are applied, but the on-track positions, Mark Poynton takes the win just over a second ahead of Daniel Yeaman, then Damon Fisher, courtesy of Stone Street's self-inflicted spin on the penultimate lap, picks up the third step of the podium. Luke Orman makes his way into fourth ahead of Paul Burns, Stephen Varga and Dave Diddell behind them, then Rick Vigar, James Hardy and Abel Verben rounding out your top 10. Troy Sipple home in 11th ahead of Stone Street and Listener, then Smith and Hayes ahead of McKnight, Brett Horsell, Jason Dunn, Andrew Hoffman and Scotty Perrins rounding out your top 20. Just a few drivers behind them. Ernie Toth and Ash Hall separated by quite a few seconds there. Ash Hall comfortably home in 21st. Craig Rose 1 lap down. Connor Nixon out after blowing that motor with an interesting sequence of events. Tapped the wall, broke that front left, and then sent it straight into the tyre barrier at turn 1. There wasn't much of a way to recover from that, really, was there?
No, unfortunately, with the broken left front and then the heavy contact with the tyre barrier, there was no real bounce back there for Connor Nixon. A couple of hard luck stories in that one, but Mark Poynton comes away with the victory. What will happen with Daniel Yeaman? That is the question. Daniel the Dave Meister Yeaman, as he's affectionately known in the ASR circle. But
we're going to make that stick.
We're going to make that. We're definitely going to make that stick. Daniel the Dave Meister Yeaman, and I just thought it's a difficult one. What happens with him now? How do the stewards approach that? Is it a post-race penalty? Is it a penalty that carries over to the next race? We will have to wait with bated breath to find out. But the big story out of this, Luke Orman, P4, and some very, very key and handy points in the championship.
Yeah, I think you're giving way too much credit to the contact from Yeaman, Isaac. I actually don't think that played any part at all. There was a little bit of a side-by-side rub on the exit, but they were separated for quite a while before Stone Street got loose there. I mean, I could be missing something. I wish I had an option to go back and take a look at it between races. Unfortunately, as we move between sessions, we lose that ability here. So we'll just have to debate it amongst ourselves without any vision to look at it again. But I actually think Stone Street just... I don't know if there was a little bit of steering input that was just at the wrong time over a few of those bumps at the start of the main straight here at Long Beach, but I don't know that it actually had anything to do with the contact. That said, I can absolutely see why it might have, because it does seem really odd for the car to just spin like that where it did.
Yeah, it is odd. I'm not... Oh, look, it's an incident I think we're going to have to unpack off air with a lot more replays and a lot more angles, because there seems to be something in that we haven't quite seen that's just unsettled that car and made it not very happy. Could it be a throttle input? I'm not entirely sure, but that's look, the best way to figure that out, probably talk to Troy Stone Street himself, but we'll have to wait for a little bit longer before we're able to do that.
In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break for a word from our primary sponsor here for Season 8. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gents, to Simple Racing Broadcast. Tonight, of course, the Alliance Sim Racing Gard Supercar Championship continues for Season 8. This is round 5 from Long Beach, and after a pretty eventful opening race that is, we are just about ready to get on track for race number 2. Another 30 laps here, another compulsory pit stop to be completed, and I'm pretty confident, having done no research at all, mind you, in the time we were off air, Isaac, but I'm pretty confident that we saw at least one car run very, very low on fuel there. I'm wondering if we might see a couple more of these guys try and gain just a couple of tenths by putting some less fuel in this time and running the gauntlet for race number 2. But we are about to find out the grid for race 2. It looks like this: Mark Poynton and Daniel Yeaman will take the front row ahead of Damon Fisher and Luke Orman, and all 266 second row for race number 2. Paul Burns and Stephen Varga behind them on row 3. Then Dave Diddell and Rick Vigar ahead of James Hardy and Abel Verban, rounding out your top 10. Behind them, Troy Sipple and Troy Stonestreet. And I'm sure we'll see Stonestreet looking to get through the field pretty quickly in this one. Andrew Listener and Ray Smith ahead of Brad Hayes, then Jamie McKnight and Brett Horsell and Jason Dunn on row 9. Andrew Hoffman and Scott Perrins rounding out your 20. Behind them, Ash Hall and Ernie Toth, then Craig Rose and Connor Nixon. Brad Radu didn't make it to the first race. I don't expect we'll see him for this second one, but he is there if he decides to jump in. Todd Martin and Lucas Burt, they did get a run this time around, as we see a 5-second penalty coming through for car number 29, which is, that's Mark Poynton. So that is that transit infringement. We were speaking about that during race number 1, that it's the more common thing that we do see cars getting pinged for, and no exception there. The race winner, probably not the race winner after all, with that 5-second penalty. He only had a 1-second gap. I think he'll probably drop down to about, geez, it'd be almost 4th or 5th, wouldn't it?
Look, it's not going to be pretty viewing for Mark Poynton, unfortunately. That could very well cost him the victory. I think the question mark hangs over Daniel Yeaman. Was there anything the stewards saw untoward there that caused any sort of incident with Troy Stonestreet? Well, we could see Damon Fisher and Luke Orman promoted to 1-2 in this race if something does happen with both of those guys. So, look, it's super unfortunate. As you said, we see drivers get caught out with it quite often. It's a regular penalty we see, unfortunately, in ASR, but it is the rules are the rules, and you have to follow them, especially in the pit lane. So, super frustrating for Mark Poynton, but what can you do?
Well, we are ready to go racing for race number 2. The lights are up, all the drivers on the grid. Can Poynton and Yeaman get the start that they're after here? As we go green, Poynton again, a brilliant start behind him. Look at Yeaman go, immediately launching up through the field as we make our way down the straight again for the start of race number 2. And here we go down towards turn 1. Are we going to get a clean run through here? That is the question. Looks pretty tidy so far. Of course, the fountain might have something else to say. Let's see if we can get everyone in. Oh, we're still side by side as we get to the fountain. This is dangerous. That's going to cost a couple of spots there for James Hardy as he drops further back. They check up all the way into the back of the field, but we've gotten through without incident again. And it looks like the drivers might have actually listened during the briefing when they were told to take it easy through there on the first lap.
Well, I think they listened on the first lap, but then we get to later on, and I think they sort of forget a little bit. But they heard the lap 1 part, and then they didn't hear the end every other lap part. But, you know, they did it for the first lap. But probably not. I think we need to be more explicit when it comes to drivers' briefings. So if there's anything I've learned from running a league, Jared Cole, you've got to be very explicit in your drivers' briefings and spell out. It's sort of like being a teacher. The two professions sort of cross. You have to be very explicit in what you tell them. Because otherwise they'll take liberties with, oh, you didn't say I couldn't do this, so
well, I mean,
I just did that.
That's motorsport, isn't it?
That is motorsport. It's all about gamesmanship.
Have a look at this move up the inside.
A dive from Connor Nixon.
Huge dive from Connor Nixon. I can confirm.
9 spots.
Yeah, that's a huge opening lap. Absolutely huge opening lap. And what will be interesting to see is that Brad Radu has made it in for race number 2. He's started from the pit lane, He's a long way back, but he is out there. Jamie McKnight is not. So we've substituted one driver in, one driver out for race 2 here. And Brad Reddy's got quite a bit of work to do to catch the field now. He's a long way behind.
He's got, yeah, a lot of... Look, it's great to see him out there on track rolling around, and he is a lap down. So hopefully I think he'll be hoping for a safety car to get back out there. But it's great to see him out on track and running in this one. And unfortunately, we have lost Jamie McKnight. So super disappointing for Jamie not to feature in this one. But for Connor Nixon, 9 places on the opening lap. That is a huge gain. As everyone starts getting to a rhythm now, that's going to be a little bit harder to come by. But we could see him, I think, get to the back end of this top 5 at minimum by the end of this race.
Yeah, he'll certainly be making a bit of a move. Abel Verban had a horror start. I'm just looking back at all the notifications from the start of the race, and Verban lost 1, 2, 3 spots by the look of things before he even crossed the start-finish line. So not what he would have been hoping for out of that one. Prevail's just advising that he's been told he gets a $50 gift card from Isaac for dropping a like on the stream. Where you redeem that? I think you get in touch with Isaac directly for that one, mate. From memory,
I never agreed to that. That wasn't in the driver's briefing.
Scotty Perrin's on the inside of his teammate here. Ash Hall into turn 1. They're not quite going to get there. Perrin's actually backing out of that one, which is an interesting move. I thought he was going to commit to that, but he's going to just drop back to 21st and maybe wait it out a little bit longer until it looks like a better chance of not wiping out his teammate at the same time, I suppose. James Hardy, meanwhile, the other quantum car a little further up the field in 10th at the moment. Ray Smith all over the back of him. Further up through the field, Damon Fisher and Luke Orman still holding 3rd and 4th. Stephen Varga and Paul Burns have swapped positions. Brad Hayes into the tyre barrier, bounces across in front of Brett Horsell. Horsell's going to get the position. Will Andrew Hoffman come through here as well? He's certainly going to have a crack at it, and it looks like he might have the pace. They're going to be under brakes here, side by side, a little bit of panel rubbing on the way through, but Hoffman moves up into 16th as Brad Hayes struggles through. Oh, there's contact, and Hoffman's around again. Not quite.
Oh, he saved it.
He saved it well. That almost was a carbon copy of what we saw with Ernie Toth in the first race at that exact moment. And Andrew Hoffman will be very, very happy to not get caught up in that any more than what that was. Ernie Toth, meanwhile, in the background, moving past Abel Verban, who continues to struggle with this track tonight.
Yeah, this is a difficult night for Ernie Toth. He was looking pretty strong in with his pace just towards, even with the numbers towards the back end of that second race, and I was hoping he'd be able to continue rolling on up this grid, but look, it just hasn't got, and that's the way it goes sometimes Long Beach, isn't it? This circuit is so tricky to try and string together consistent laps, and a lot of guys have done so much turning time, so many laps around here that they know this track like the inside at the back of their hand. Well, the back of their hand, if I can get my words out, that'd be wonderful. Luke Orman in 4th place. He is a man that knows this circuit like the back of his hand. He could do it with his eyes closed, I'm sure. He probably shouldn't do it with his eyes closed. He might, on the off chance he does end up in a wall, but I would be convinced we could get him to do a lap blindfolded around here, and he'd absolutely nail it. And as a result, he is looking very, very strong indeed. This is James Hardy in 10th place. Now we jump up to Damon Fisher, who's under pressure from his teammate Luke Orman. So they pick up where they left off at the end of race number 1, Jared Cole, because they're once again battling for position, this time 3rd and 4th.
I'm trying to figure out where we saw. I can't recall if we actually saw what's caused the damage to the front left of Fisher's car there. Because he's absolutely picked up a bit of an impact. You can see that front bar is pushed in quite a bit on the front left. Now, whether that's affecting the suspension as well, it's likely. You don't generally get damage like that on these Gen 3 supercars without some kind of impact to the steering as well. And as we go on board, we'll get a bit of a feel for this. It looks like it's responding pretty well. The steering wheel's still fairly straight when he wants to point it in a straight line, so it doesn't seem to be impacting him too much at the moment, but it is perhaps a bit of a warning sign in terms of the pace that he's got available to him as they come down the back straight. Heavy under brakes again. Fisher will lead Orman through, and we saw this from Orman in the first race. He's quite happy to just sit in behind and bide his time, wait for the mistake before he picks up the spot, and being in fourth, he'll be fairly comfortable for the moment. 5 laps in, a few moves throughout the field. You can see on your timing tower now, but for Poynton, Yeaman, Fisher and Allman, no change. Sparger and Burns have swapped positions behind, but the biggest mover at the moment, Connor Nixon, up 10 spots after starting down the back of the field following the popped motor in the first one, and the mechanics have been hard at work between races to get a new motor into that car and get some repairs done. He's back out on track now and making the most of it as Fisher moves over and allows Allman through, almost gives up a spot to Varga as well, who tried to sneak it through in a cheeky little move, but Fisher will now do everything he can to hold that off, and maybe a little bit more damage there than we thought.
Yeah, the look, it certainly does not look good on the front of that Mustang, and I think it's definitely going to leave him a little bit compromised. There could be a little bit of steering damage maybe as well on that car that is making it even tougher, but we'll have to keep a close eye on how Stephen Varga goes trying to navigate his way past that 266 car. In the meantime, Connor Nixon, off the road, that's up the escape road for Jason Dunn. There's a bit of damage on the front of that car as well, so he's had an argument with the barrier somewhere that has not gone his way by the looks of it, because that is some significant damage on the front end of his Ford Mustang as well. James Hardy still got Ray Smith for company at the back end of this top 10. James Hardy, I think he can't, but I think 2 top 10 finishes here for James Hardy would be really, really positive for him tonight. Obviously, Dave Diddell had that 5-second penalty, so I believe on countback, James Hardy will inherit the race win in the trophy class. But I don't want to be quoted on that, because I haven't seen the completely finalised race results yet with the times accounted for. So we'll have to wait and see when that does come out. Just as Jason Dunn, what happens as he ran into turn 1? Gets very deep on the brakes, gets it all crossed up, locks the inside front, flicks it around, and that's where the damage came from, because he just and that's where the further damage came from. So he's sort of parked it almost perfectly sideways and made perfect side-to-side contact with that tyre wall, and then tried to flick it around and found the concrete wall on the other side.
As Damon Fisher finds the concrete wall in the exit there as well, sparks flying as he leaves a little bit of paintwork behind. Really is starting to struggle a little bit with the turn in that car. So yeah, he's going to be doing a good job here to hold off Fargs for too much longer, I reckon. But the thing that could have caused Dunn's incident there, and it's something that I probably wouldn't have thought of as being a massive issue, but you might have noticed that when he did get on the brakes, his right-hand side tyres were actually sitting right on the painted pit exit line, and the amount of grip on that painted line is actually significantly less than if you are out on track. You'll see these guys all try and push all the way out there, but they generally try and avoid it and avoid having to brake too heavily. I think Dunn was just pushing a little bit too hard there. G'day Brett, this is indeed iRacing, and this is the Alliance Sim Racing Gard Supercar Championship, round 5 from Long Beach here tonight of season 8 of this fantastic competition. Out in front, Mark Poynton is leading this race by just over 6/10 to Daniel Yeaman. Luke Allman, though, has been threatening to close in and make this a 3-way battle for the lead. He's not quite found the pace just yet, but we'll see what happens with compulsory pit stops. I do wonder if maybe we're going to see a little bit of... do we see someone go for the undercut here? Is the question.
That is the question, and I think we certainly could see the undercut. I think... I'd like to see Connor Nixon go for an undercut as we sort of cut to him as if on cue. He's battling with Troy Sips. We've got a car making contact in the background. That's
and Brad Radu come together.
Brad Radu. And Brad Radu is a lap down, so he's actually trying to chase Jason Dunn, who has a black flag, but these two have come together. There's probably a little bit of a speed difference going into this corner here. Absolutely tries to go down the inside. Radu makes front to rear contact.
Who was that just flew through? I didn't quite catch who that was. I think I think it might have been Jason Dunn coming through.
I think it very well could have been Jason Dunn coming through. We've seen a couple of cars jumping in the lane now, so Smith, Listener and Horsell jumping in. Jason Dunn, I believe, serving that drive-through. I'd like to see Connor Nixon come in soon if he can't get past Troy Sipple within the next lap or so. It would be nice to see him just get a little bit of fresh air, a bit of clean track. That might do him well, because he is hounding the back of Troy Sipple here, but Sips, as always, is making that quantum car as wide as he possibly can.
Late dive to the inside. Nixon not quite going to have the overlap that he's looking for there, so he drops back in behind, but I can't see it being more than about another, well, 2 turns really to be the end of this back straight that he has another crack at this. Sips needs a perfect exit this corner. He doesn't quite get it, so he moves across to just defend the inside. Nixon goes all the way to the inside down the back straight. They're going to be side by side, heavy under brakes. Nixon up the inside. They touch paddles just before tip in, and Nixon goes through and up into 11th. That's now 13 position gained since the start of this race. He's got to be careful though, because keep in mind, of course, that he had some issues last race with how hard he was pushing. Ended up into the tyres at turn 1, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And Brad Radu, it looked
Let's cut down the escape road.
There was indeed, and that's Ash Hall, who's just overcooked it a bit under brakes there.
Yes, certainly. Ray Smith has got a black flag as well. I believe that's game issued for potentially, I think, for unsafe pit entry. But he hasn't served that in the stop, which usually if you have that, you would serve it in the pit stop. So
I actually think it might be the exit, honestly.
That very well could be the case. So that's a drive-through.
This is very, very common here at Long Beach. You've got to be so careful not to cross that pit exit line, and it does stretch for quite some distance. We'll see if we can get a bit of a shot of it for Ray Smith as he's come out of the pit lane, because I suspect he's crossed that line there, and that's what's picked him up the black flag. He's coming in now to serve that one. Stephen Varga trying to hold off Paul Burns in this battle. David Fisher, tell you what, it shows just how difficult it is to get past here, because Fisher is absolutely off the pace with that bit of damage he's carrying. His last lap at 22.5, so starting to really drop away. A 22.8 that time away. At that time around, a second slower than Luke Orman up in third. But none of these drivers behind are going to find it easy to get past either.
No, this is going to be a super tough challenge for all of them, really. We've seen time and time again, it is super hard to get by. Look, this is what's happened with.
Watch the exit. Watch if he does cross the line here prior to. There it is. He's there.
That's because he's spun.
He's actually spun it on the fresh tyres, and
that's a kick in the guts, isn't it?
Yeah, that is definitely not even close enough to be argued with the iRacing stewards. That was a blatant crossing of the pit exit line, well before the cone. So yeah, not much that Ray Smith can complain about there, except maybe that the tyre warmers weren't on for long enough. I don't know.
Oh, look, yeah, I think that is a bit of a punch in the gut from the iRacing stewards, isn't it? To go, look, we know you're spun, but look, the computer system, it deals in ones and zeros, doesn't it? It's either crossed the line or it hasn't. And unfortunately for Ray Smith, the ones ticked in and ticked that box as true, and it gives him a penalty. We've got lap 8 contact between car 33 and 38, 5-second penalty to car 38. That is, looking at my total,
that'll be the
Brad
Radu
with Ash Hall. Yep, correct.
Surprised. Have a look at this though. Luke Orman, he's in it. Pointing at Yeaman and Orman, all within about a second and a half of each other now. We have a three-way battle for this lead as we approach the halfway point. And look, here's the question: are we gonna get a safety car that brings everyone in at once, or is this actually going to come down to pit strategy here? Surely at this point, Orman's got to be thinking about using the undercut to get past. Catch up to the back of the two in front. If he can't make a clean and very, very quick pass on Yeaman, you've got to come in and do the undercut. Surely that's the way to get it done here. In the background, if I'm not mistaken, that'll be Brad Radu, who's just tacking onto the back of this little group here. Or actually could be, no, it's not certainly Nixon at the back of 11, so it must be Radu that's just off the back of this trio and joining in here. He's not showing up in your battle box, of course, because he's not battling for position here. Oh, Orman, a little bit of a moment there. He's certainly thinking about the entry to pits there, perhaps. Whether there was a slight touch, but that's cost him a lot of time. Opened up an almost second and a half gap now, and all of the work that he's put in, he's going to have to do again.
Yeah, this is frustrating. Now he has to go all the way back to square one. Start from the beginning. This is Stephen Varga trying to find a way past Damon Fisher. That car, little bit wounded at the moment, but Damon Fisher doing a wonderful job, as you did in race 1, of making that car as wide as possible. Super difficult to pass. Paul Burns also in this group. Rick Weiger into the lane for his stop. Connor Nixon promoted inside the top 10 now. So gained 14 spots. Where he finishes when it all plays out after the pit stops, he's got about 4 seconds of breathing room to James Hardy at the moment, and he is lapping on pace, even faster than, I should say, our leaders at the moment. He was the fastest car on track on the previous lap, so he is pushing at the moment to try and make up some time here, maybe close up to the back of Hardy. I think if Connor Nixon can catch the back of James Hardy within the next few laps, I think we'll see him dive into the pits.
Yeah, you'd have to be considering it. It's such a tough call here because it's a relatively short lap and a very long pit lane. So although the undercut's always tempting and usually does pay off, you run a massive risk here. Oh, look at that. Point, Yeaman and Allman all into the pit bay, following each other in all at once. I'm not surprised at all to see them following each other's strategy there. No one wants to see an undercut made on them. What I will finish in terms of the thought on the undercut, though, is because it is such a short lap, even though you come in for the undercut, you spend almost a minute in the pit lane end to end, and you might just find yourself in a whole lot more traffic than you bargained for in trying to run the undercut. So it's a massive risk. You've got to time it perfectly. I think the safest option is probably to do exactly what's just happened for Yeaman and Allman. They need to just follow the leader, and Yeaman's actually gotten past Point in the pit bay, so he's come out with a 2-second quicker time in the pit bay. Is that going to translate to fueling issues as we get towards the end of this race, though?
It could. This is the challenge, because a lot of these drivers will use automatic fuel adjusters within iRacing. So the game will work out how much fuel they're using per lap, so therefore how much fuel they need to get to the end of the race. So this all depends on whether there's been fuel saving. You have a safety car now. This could actually be the key, and that's because of this man on our screen,
Andrew Hoffman.
Unfortunately, massive hit to the wall. But I was about to say, this could actually be the free kick.
Everyone else.
Everyone else. This could be the free kick that Yeaman needs, because he has, we just said, he's 2 less seconds of fuel in that car than Mark Pointing behind. But now he has the opportunity under a safety car to save fuel, which will allow him to get some of that advantage. Actually, if there was a question mark over him getting to the end, I don't think there will be now.
No, I wouldn't think so. It won't take much of a safety car period. The Chubby Buns replay. This is Andrew Hoffman. I think he's done this all by himself. Locks the brakes up. No, he pops the motor on the downshift. Pops the motor on the downshift, and look at the damage on that car as a result. Really, really unfortunate for the Southern Cross Racing entry. Big damage on that one. And he won't be going anywhere in a hurry. Not the first time we've seen one of these motors go on a downshift. It certainly won't be the last, but unfortunately here, there's not really anywhere for you to slide and not pop some damage. And Hoffman feeling every bit of that, I'm sure.
Thankfully this is, he wouldn't be feeling the real life G-force impacts of that, but yeah, the downshift, that's super disappointing for Hoffman. He will be very frustrated. The second time we've seen an engine this evening. First time I've seen it popped on the downshift though tonight. Loving this drone cam we have going, and you can see just up ahead the damage, the very wounded car of Andrew Hoffman sitting just off to the side. They all roll through nice and slow, but the safety car in front. So Yeaman from point, and then Allman up in the third. Damon Fisher, Burns. Where did Connor Nixon poke out? Back in 10th after that stop. So he's got Diddell and James Hardy, who's actually jumped Diddell as well through that pit stop sequence, with everyone now having served their pit stop. But Connor Nixon inside the top 10. He is very much a threat, I think, here to get himself into the top 5, Jared Cole.
Yeah, look, it's not outside the realm of possibility that we're going to see him really start to challenge at the front end. We're only halfway through this race. 15 laps in, he's made up 14 spots. He's only got 10 to go to the front end. We know he's blindingly fast in these cars. There's no two ways about it. Whether you're a fan or not of the Logitech G ODBM cars, they are absolutely just blisteringly fast. And that's down to the drivers. Remember, of course, they run a fixed setup in this series, so there's no highly paid setup designers behind the scenes making these cars faster mechanically. They are just really, really quick drivers. Daniel Yeaman out in front has benefited from a very fast pit stop as well, which puts him up in front. But look, 10 spots in what will probably be 13 laps of green flag running from here to the end, assuming no more safety cars tonight. I wouldn't necessarily count out Connor Nixon for a podium at this stage, and that would be...
That's a bold call.
That would be a big call, but he's up into 9th as James Hardy comes into the pits now as well.
Again? Oh, no, he hadn't... No, it's his second stop, yeah. Hardy
I don't know what's happened there, whether he's... Oh, I can tell you what's happened. Hardy has come in and had what looks like some damage repaired on his first stop.
Oh, yeah.
Only in the bay for 3.5 seconds or just over.
Ah, okay.
He needs the fuel to get home.
There you go.
No, I stand corrected. That's what he's done this time. That was a damage repair. That one.
Interesting.
So he's come in and used his fast repair. That's going to drop him a long way further back, though. Ends up in 20th as he gets back out onto track. So not ideal. I wonder if there was something that happened just before that that's caused that damage. I can't see anything that stands out. But yeah, maybe he picked up some damage a little earlier on somewhere.
Yeah, that's look, it's a very strange one, and unfortunately it puts him right down the back of the field now under safety car because he had to pit when the field was bunched up. So that's effectively put him out of this race, down in 20th place, and gives Dave Tadell a bit of breathing room over Troy Sipple back in 12th. And here we go, the Chubby Buns replay. This will explain what happened to Hardy.
I don't think there's actually any damage on his car here. Like you can see there's a bit of damage to the front right. Yeah, it's really odd.
That is very, very odd.
Into the pit lane he comes. There's no further damage on the entry. So, don't know. Maybe all it was is that he came in intending to have that damage repaired on the first stop and hadn't ticked the fast repair box. That's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it's a strange one. Safety car in this lap, so we will get a restart this time by.
They are running another lap. I stand corrected. I was thinking that perhaps we were seeing the safety car in because they'd pulled a long way away from Yeaman.
They backed off a bit, hadn't they?
Yeah, I mean they weren't even in shot, so I thought we might have missed them pulling away while we were watching that replay. But looks as though Lucas Bird has decided, no, I'm not quite done with my time on track in the Porsche safety car. As we get a wave around there for, looks like Brad Radu is going to take off up the road and try and catch the back of this pack before the restart. You would think this time around. So really, we said 13, it's more like 12 laps of full noise running from here. That really does put Daniel Yeaman in a pretty strong position. Only 16 seconds in the pit bay suggests he's taken a fair bit less fuel than Mark Point, but that won't really play any factor from here, given what's left after the safety car.
I think this has really been a blessing in disguise for Daniel Yeaman. He has absolutely gotten away with it. If he did have any fuel questions, he very well may have not had any fuel concerns at all, but if he did, he certainly does not anymore. This has been good for Connor Nixon as well. He will have a great opportunity now with the field bunched up to try and make some places. We saw what he did on lap 1 when everyone was on relatively fresh tyres and close together. Can he do something similar with this safety car restart?
The Chubby Buns safety car getting its way around. Lucas Burt at the wheel here tonight. Todd Martin also in race control as a second safety car if needed, but Lucas Burt doing a great job there of keeping the Porsche pointed in the right direction, which is always a pretty good way to handle it. Looks like he's going to pull away from the field here, and sure enough we'll be getting a restart on this lap as Burt takes the Porsche back on in to the Chubby Buns pit bay. Daniel Yeaman will have control of this field as they come back around. Mark Point, we saw, took the jump pretty pretty much straight out of the hairpin last time around. I wonder if we're going to see the same here from Yeaman, or if he's going to try and just create a little bit of confusion, a little bit of friction at the hairpin, and try and get a jump just after that. It's always a tough call.
It is a very tough call. You have this, he's waiting. He's waiting a long time. Look at this. He's not gone yet.
He's definitely holding it up.
Still waiting.
Cause a
He's gone.
There's the jump. There's the jump. He's waited just a little longer as we go.
Smart.
Green flag racing once again. Yeah, great start from Yeaman, and it opens up with not a massive gap to point. I think we're anticipating it. Luke Allman a little bit slower in the draw. Connor Nixon immediately on the attack. He's going up the inside, looks for a move on Dave Dell, can't quite get there, but in ninth place, he'll be one that we watch for the rest of this race. They are back to back to back all the way down through the top 10 as Troy Stone Street joins the back of this front group as well. Andrew Listener got left behind a little bit, and look at this, Nixon looking up the inside of Dell already. We're not even halfway into this restart. He comes to blows with him on the exit and has to back it out. Dell comes across aggressively to open the corner up. Nixon says, thank you very much, I'll take the inside line, and goes through without a lot of fuss, honestly, as Stone Street looks to follow him through as well. He's going to look up the inside on this one. Big slide on the way through, cuts the corner really aggressively, almost taps the inside wall. Doesn't quite get there at the end. Mark Poynton's around.
What happened to Mark Poynton? What happened? Mark Poynton down the escape road. So Mark Poynton's gone off, got the braking zone all wrong. I'm not sure whether we'll have to get a replay that to see exactly what happened, but he down the escape road, and that is unfortunate for a man that was in a very commanding position in this race to try and he was in second place, so looking for a very, very strong result. It promotes Damon Fisher up into third, Paul Burns to fourth, Stephen Varga, Rick Varga and Connor Nixon now one step closer to a P5 or potentially even a podium. He's getting the elbows out early here, Connor Nixon as well. Here we go, a replay of what happened to Mark Poynton. And I think he's just a case of getting it all crossed up. Yeah, he locked the inside front there down the escape road, and that is on just a bit of contact with the tyre barrier for good luck there. That is very unfortunate for Mark Poynton. Then he has to sit and wait for the whole train to roll by. The start for Daniel Yeaman, the restart, was, look, it was a very close one. I'm wondering if it was a bit of waiting for this man on our screen that's trying to find a way past Rick Varga. A little bit of rubbing between the two of them. Oh, there's more rubbing. Rick Varga says, you're not getting past me that easily. You can't just push your way past, and they get into each other. It's cost them both time. Connor Nixon does get past in the end. I thought someone was going to get spat into the fence just there. That was very messy and very aggressive between the two of them.
And this is, again, look, Nixon's been pushing on really hard. Picks up a slowdown there through that corner as well. So up 18 spots, but with a slowdown to serve, this is going to compromise his exit onto the main straight. Unfortunately, behind them, a little bit of confusion over Connor Nixon's line through that corner, I think, and Nixon clears the slowdown without too much concern. It's cost Varga and Stone Street some time. Troy Sipple and Dave Dell further back trying to get it sorted out as well. Out in front though, Yeaman, Allman, Fisher. It's Logitech GODBM out in front for now. 266 Sim Racing though, with two of their cars right on his tail and a second and a half back to Paul Burns from 801. Have a look at the lineup behind Connor Nixon though. It's you'll see this as they come out of this next corner. Oh, Scott Perrins has gone around somewhere. Looks like it's not been massive, but just into turn one, which has caught a few drivers out here tonight. And in front, Yeaman starting to watch those mirrors pretty closely as the two 266 cars get closer and closer to that rear bar.
I wanted to circle back to the point I was trying to make about the restart before we get too carried away here with this battle, before it gets too exciting, although I think they're trying to do it before I can get there. But I think Yeaman was maybe waiting for Nixon to potentially get onto the front straight so that he wasn't losing out in this corner just here by Yeaman going straight away. He wanted to make sure that his teammate was in position to capitalise on that restart as well, so maybe a little bit of gamesmanship for the Logitech GODBM teammates. Could that have been a strategy? Not entirely sure. This is Ash Hall going slowly, moving now though.
I think he's actually gone down the escape road as well there. We'll go back and we'll take a look at it in a moment, but Craig Rose and Ash Hall both showing up as having incidents. at some very odd places on this track. So the bad news for Andrew Hoffman, no fast repair, is currently still sitting in the pit bay. That'll be his night done. Been in there for 11 minutes so far. If memory serves, it's about half an hour to change a motor in one of these cars, and there is just not that much time left in this race. So we won't expect to see that Southern Cross racing car back out on track here this evening. A bit of an anticlimactic end to Hoffman's evening, but again, it won't be the last time that we see one of those motors go, I'm sure, as Dave Bell takes a big look up the inside of Troy Sipple. Can't quite get there, but can he get the exit and try something at the end of the straight? I don't think so. Sipple had a great run out of that turn and opens the gap up in a big way. Luke Orman closer and closer every time we check in here, right on the back of Yeaman. Doesn't quite get the exit he needs there, so Yeaman extends the lead back out to just over half a second. But there is not a lot in this. Yeaman can't afford to make a single mistake at this point.
No, that car has to be on rails. Allman is all over the back of him and will be not afraid to pounce here. I think Luke Allman, one of those fan favourite drivers. Everyone loves him, and to see him stand on the top step of the podium tonight would be awesome. But it'd also be great to see the A-man, the Dave Meister, stand on top of the podium as well. Don't count out Damon Fisher as well, the pole sitter for this evening's first race. Quickest in qualifying after not having a PC that was working last week. He was unsure if he was actually going to make it back for the next round, and he has been back. He did make it back, and he absolutely went out and was swinging for the fences from the start, and now back in the podium conversation. Troy Stonestreet, Rick Vigar around the outside, so the long way for Troy Stonestreet, and more side-by-side contact, so everyone's getting their elbows out. Poor Rick Vigar is absolutely copping it, first from Connor Nixon, now from Troy Stonestreet. Stonestreet gets through, and Rick Vigar's probably thinking, what have I done to everybody for them to get their elbows out with me tonight? He's just, he's absolutely getting his ears boxed, isn't he?
He's getting beaten up here. There's no two ways about it. Rick Vigar's car is going to have all sorts of new dents over it for him to have a look at the end of this race. I don't think he's done anything particularly aggressive tonight to have earned it. So just the nature of Long Beach is not really much of another way to get a pass done around here. Damon Fisher started to close in. Orman just a little bit slower down the main straight than he probably would have liked to be. Paul Burns also closing the gap, and here comes Stephen Varga as well. Connor Nixon, 2 seconds further back. He's a bit of a gap there, but you can see him just starting to sneak into the back of shot every time we take a look at this group. He is absolutely closing up on the front end of this race.
He is getting very, very close to the front of this race. He could be putting Stephen Varga under pressure very, very soon. Only 1.8 seconds between them. Looking at the lap times at the moment, he is pushing hard to try and catch this front group. It's not a massive difference, but I think now that he's released and has some clean air, this certainly could be. Oh, in the wall! That's the one. Jason Dunn. Can he get that moving? I think he can, but that is a super awkward spot for Jason Dunn.
Glad to see him got it moving though, because there was no way we were getting away without a safety car if he wasn't able to keep it going there. Thankfully, back out on track. I'm not quite sure what's happened, but I suspect he's either clipped the wall or just put one of the tyres up onto the curb when accelerating out of the fountain. It's an awkward little spot, that. And yeah, if you do try and push these cars just a little bit too hard, that is often the result. Some big moves throughout the field. Connor Nixon obviously the standout, up 18 positions, but Stone Street up 5, Andrew Lister up 4, Ernie Toth on your screen now up 8 positions since the start, as is Brad Radu floating around in 19th. So won't be the ideal night for Radu's points, but really not a bad effort after starting almost a full lap down for this race.
Yeah, he's done very, very well to make up as many spots as he's had. Still time left in this race for him to make up even more. This is Jason Dunn. This is exactly what happened. Oh, clips the inside wall. And that's, look, as we've said before, Jared, that's super narrow through there. So the fact that he's the first one to do that is actually very surprising.
Yeah, it must be nothing in it. Just enough over that he did tag one way through, because it's easy enough to do, but it's also, I don't know, I've not seen it flick a car around quite so aggressively for a while. but being at full noise on the way out of that turn, if you're going to lose a rear end, it's probably the time you don't want a little nudge like that from the wall. It's going to absolutely send it around. We get through the hairpin once again. I've been pretty surprised as we see a massive check up there from James Hardy. I was about to say I've been surprised we haven't seen more congestion at the hairpin. It's a really, really tough corner to negotiate, particularly if you're battling in tight quarters, and that's about all we've seen here tonight in this round. It's been groups of 5 or 6 cars almost the whole way here tonight at Long Beach. It's not surprising to see, but geez, it is really impressive just how clean these races have been.
It's been, yeah, look, for street circuit racing, sometimes it can get a little bit messy, a little bit, I think the word is elbows
aggressive.
out.
It's aggressive.
Aggressive.
No
that is the word I'm looking for. It is aggressive. But tonight, there's been a lot of, I think the most aggressive we've seen is with poor Rick Vigo, when everyone's getting their elbows out with him. But that's really been it. You see a lot of that in street circuits. We just haven't seen that too much this evening. Everyone's provided each other with plenty of racing room, while still, being defensive and getting their elbows out. But there hasn't been that aggression you normally see on a street circuit. And I think, look, we love the aggression, but I think from a driver's point of view, having the respect and the room given has been a good thing.
Yeah, can't argue with that at all. As we see Dave Diddell pick up a bit of a slowdown, that is starting to be a bit of a favourite spot to try and cut the corner just off that back straight, and not the first driver we've seen in the last couple of laps pick up that yellow flag for slowdown. So it's definitely one that they're starting to push the limits on as they search for every last tenth they can find in these closing laps of race number 2 here tonight. Just trying desperately to make up one more spot if they possibly can. Also is really threatening at the moment. Diddell's under a lot of pressure. Only, 4 laps to go. And look, it's not going to be too difficult for Diddell to hold on to that, but he can't afford a mistake on any of the exits, particularly into the wider sections that might just give Horsell a sniff at getting through here. Not the only one under pressure by a long shot though, as we see in the background Ashwell running very, very slowly through the hairpin as he tries to recover from his it's been a bit of a lackluster evening for him this evening, unfortunately. And finds himself a long way down through the field. Ernie Toth up 8 positions, recovering well after a bit of a rough first race as well. Out in front though, Daniel Yeaman still hanging on to it. Connor Nixon actually starting to find it difficult to close the gap any further to that front group. He's been hovering around that 2.5 for a little while now, and I think he might have reached the limits of what he's got in that car.
Yeah, no, I think there was a big gap. There was, I think, almost 2.5 at least seconds back to Stephen Varga. He has closed that in. He is still a couple tenths a lap faster, but I just don't think it's enough from here to make any sort of inroads on that top 5. He could get there, but again, it's one thing to catch Stephen Varga. It's another thing to try and get past him with so little time left. He'd really have to start to catch him within the next lap or so, give himself 2 laps really to have a go at the back of Stephen Varga. 1 lap to size him up, and the next lap on the final lap to execute, and then you only get 1 shot to execute that overtake. So that's a big ask for Connor Nixon from here, but P6 up 18 spots is still a huge comeback drive in this second race, and absolutely should be commended. Even though he doesn't finish in the top 5, I don't think there's anything wrong with coming in P6 after starting from the back.
Oh, look, I don't know, how hard can it be, right? 18 spots up through this field. Yeah, it's a massive effort, and just look, if nothing else, just to find enough opportunities to overtake that many times around Long Beach, that is pretty impressive stuff. It doesn't come around too often. And certainly taking advantage of a few of the, your safety car period sort of closed the gap up a fair bit for him, and then of course incidents happening here, there and everywhere around the track has probably helped that out. But it's been a massive drive. It'll probably end there in 6th though, I would think, as further back in the field get a bit of an issue out of the hairpin. Ray Smith have a look at that Brad Radu coming through there. Wasn't expecting Ray Smith to be going the opposite way to get that spun around, but I don't know what other choice he really had there. James Hardy and Mark Poynton both caught up in that one as well, so really not ideal as Poynton looks to pick up an extra spot here if he can. Out in front, Yeaman and Orman looking fairly comfortable. Damon Fisher just needs to hold on a little bit longer to stave off Paul Burns, Stephen Varga, Connor Nixon behind him. He's done an amazing job so far of hanging on to the front end of this field despite carrying a little bit of damage from early on. He's hanging in there and just might squeeze a podium out of this one yet. Let's go back and see if we can just pick up what happened at that hairpin for Ray Smith to find himself facing away. The Chubby Buns replay will capture this, no doubt. It looks like he was the head of it. Is there a nudge? Just a little bit of a nudge from behind. Gets him spun around at the wrong point. Mark Pointon's got nowhere to go. But have a look at this. Nowhere for Ray Smith to do this any other way. Brad Radu probably wasn't expecting to see headlights on the way around that corner.
Definitely not. I think he got the fright of his life when he came around that corner.
And Fisher's had an issue on the main straight. Look at this.
Here we go.
He's getting absolutely monstered on the way down. Connor Nixon's about to pick up an extra spot. Sneaks through on Stephen Varga. Into fifth. This is the opportunity that he needed. This could be a podium now for Connor Nixon. He's got a couple cars in front of him. A clearly slightly wounded Damon Fisher. Something has happened to the 266 car. And Paul Burns not too far up in front. Here we go. This is what happened. Race control, 10-second car penalty, time penalty, car 38. After incident with car 13, we'll circle back to that in a minute. Fisher's just found himself offline, a little bit slow out of the hairpin, and then on the outside, and
that's Brad Radu.
A long way around.
And Brad Radu, 10-second time penalty for contact with Craig Rose as well while we were watching that replay. But look at Connor Nixon. He is all over the back of Damon Fisher. Here we go. Under brakes, pulls to the inside. Heavy under braking. They're going to go side by side here. It's not quite done as convincingly as Connor Nixon would have liked it, and he's still going to have to hang around the outside into the penultimate corner. This will turn back to the inside line. Afforded the room. Damon Fisher looked for the switchback, but Connor Nixon parks the car high. Stopped him from being able to do that. The unfortunate fact, though, is that now that has let Paul Burns off the hook. So Paul Burns has disappeared a second and a half up the road. Connor Nixon holds onto the spot, and now Damon Fisher under pressure from Stephen Varga. Good drop outside the top five and massive slide into the wall for Stephen Varga. More contact on the exit with Damon Fisher. That was a massive dive from Stephen Varga. He put it all on the line. He couldn't get it pulled up. He couldn't get the car turned in. And as a result, he's contacted the wall. He's damaged the front end of that car and will lose more spots down to 8. That car is wounded. Can he hold on over Andrew Lister? At the front of this field, though, Daniel Yeaman is in control over Luke Allman, who's thrown everything that he had at our race leader, but it just hasn't been enough.
Don't say anything just yet, though, because it's still got this run down the last straight. There's only a couple of corners to go. Anything can happen, though. And look, you never know just how light Yeaman is on fuel. But at this point, though, you'd have to think, with that safety car period being a pretty extended one, he's got plenty in the tank. If he can just get a decent exit here, he should bring it home reasonably comfortably. Luke Allman's done everything to try and close that down, but it looks like it will be Daniel the Dave Meister Yeaman bringing it home out in front ahead of Luke Allman. Behind them, Paul Burns picks up what is probably a reasonably unexpected for him third place. Manages to squeeze that out. He'll be stoked with that. Really unfortunate for Damon Fisher to drop down a couple of spots. Massive drive from Connor Nixon, finishing just off the podium, but up 20 positions from where he started this race as the rest of the field comes home in short order. Have a look at that bulk of Cup Trophy drivers all in there from 10th back through 16th. Mark Pointon, geez, not his night at all, comes home in 17th, so this will no doubt be his drop round in the scheme of things as we wait for the last of the drivers to make their way home. Scott Perrins, Craig Rose and Ash Hall, the next drivers to come across the line. All three Quantum Racing entries on their way, and the last driver out on track will be Jason Dunn, who's had a pretty rough night, honestly. He won't be too keen to recount that one, I'm sure.
No, I don't think he wants to, unfortunately, remind himself of what happened this evening. That's big slides there, some celebratory drifts for Daniel the Dave Meister Yeaman. He has taken this one home, has the Dave. He's pretty happy with himself. Don't know if he's going to be happy with himself when he watches his back and realises that we are actually sticking with the Dave Meister as his nickname. But He is very, very pleased, as should all those drivers. Connor Nixon as well, up 20 spots in the end to come home in fourth place. So close to a podium. Was 0.83 of a second away from Paul Burns. You know, that maybe another lap or two we could have got there. Who knows? But what a result.
And this is how it looks at the end of race number 2. Yeaman takes the win ahead of Allman and Burns. Connor Nixon in 4th ahead of Fisher. Then Stone Street and Vigard, despite getting punched around all night tonight, still finishes in 7th. Stephen Varga and Andrew Listener just ahead of Troy Sipple, who comes home in 10th at the head of the Cup Trophy pack. Dave Bell and Brett Horsell behind him, then Brad Hayes and Ernie Toth with Verban and Hardy finishing up with that little group of Cup Trophy drivers. Mark Poynton having a bit of a struggle there in race 2 this evening with that early incident. Comes home in 17th though, still ahead of Brad Ratu and Ray Smith, with Scott Perrins in 20th, and behind them Craig Rose, Ashwell and Jason Dunn, with Andrew Hoffman the last driver to finish here this evening. Well, look, a long way down, I suppose. He finished his race when he blew that motor, which is really unfortunate, but not the first time, not the last time. And it's a feature now, isn't it, of these races, that we do tend to count just how many motors pop, because those downshifts just keep catching people out.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate that, look, I think every week we see at least one popped motor somewhere, and it's just the nature of these cars trying to flip the throttle to shift down, and unfortunately it is the reality of driving a supercar. You've got to heel and toe, you've got to get that throttle application just right, otherwise the motors will throw themselves off, and that's exactly what has happened this evening. But nevertheless, we'll see, I have no doubt, Andrew Hoffman bounce back next week, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do when we get him back next week. But I believe, Jared Cole, we now have some people to chat to.
We absolutely do, and we'll kick it off with 3rd place on the podium, almost at the death there. We welcome on into the booth Paul Burns from 801 Sim Racing. G'day, Paul.
How are you, fellas?
Mate, we're doing pretty well. How are you going? It looked like tough work out there all night tonight.
I tell you what, I'm not used to being in this green room for starters, and
well, welcome on in.
Sort of, well, mate, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here. What a race! It was cool. It was fun.
It looked pretty scrappy there towards the end, as everyone was just diving around and looking for any opportunity to get past, and in the end almost served up to you on a platter. But it doesn't come without making it through 30 laps and surviving that first. How did you find the couple of races here tonight overall to start with?
Oh, if you keep your nose clean, you were right. But I think if you'll force some passes, it's such a hard track to pass on. I think you just need to get in a good train with someone and go for it. I think that's what got me home. But, tough track to pass on, so you couldn't expect anything less with people squirring all over the place. But we got through it. We all got through it.
Well, more or less, at least. There are a couple of casualties for the night, but honestly a few less than we were probably expecting to see from up here. Your perspective, though, I mean, street circuits are always good fun for the supercars and for people watching at home. How does Long Beach rate in terms of the street circuits we've got available to us on the iRacing roster? Is it up there with the favourites, or is it one you'd rather avoid?
It's way up there for me. It's up there with Detroit and any street circuit. This car's built for street circuits. Look, this track's just about a good quality and getting through that first turn, and anyone would love that track if you could do that. So they can just punish you, I suppose, and you just got to bring it on the night.
Well, mate, you've absolutely done that. Consistency right throughout the races this evening. Congratulations on the 3rd step. Thanks, here fellas. In race 2, mate. Anyone you want to say hello to while you're here?
Oh, mate, the 801 team, they're a champion. Troy Stone Street it's been helping me out a bit lately, and it's really helped me driving out and making me get something out of my sim racing, so it's really enjoyable. But also ASR and you guys, what a job. What a broadcast. The league's always well organised. I'm loving it, mate. Fantastic to be here. So thanks everyone. And all the races, all the drivers.
Mate, doesn't hurt. You'll get a bit of screen time tonight, so enjoy watching it back. For now, we'll let you go celebrate, hey?
Good on you, mate.
We'll chat to you again soon. Cheers, Paul.
See you, mate. Bye.
Paul Burns takes P3 in race number 2, and we bring on in a face and a name that's reasonably familiar to us here in the booth. Luke Gorman joins us now. G'day, mate.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Well, that looked like It looked like hard going, mate. It looked like a lot of work out there, and it is one of those tracks that really does make you earn it, doesn't it?
Oh, it is, and I'm sweating like crazy, and the track temp got up to 35 degrees, and it was just so hard to drive there at the end.
Yeah, and we did see that the tyre really seemed to just start to let go, particularly in the last 5 or 6 laps. Was it just asking a lot more of it than you possibly expected tonight, or?
Oh, it certainly was, and like you really had to back off, and I was struggling to make that last turn. Like I was having to really pull to get it to turn around, but I survived, and yeah, it was a good race.
It seems to be the story tonight is just surviving, and that really is. I mean, let's face it, that's Long Beach in a nutshell, isn't it? If you can just survive it, you generally have a pretty good night of racing. You've put together a couple of good results here tonight. In terms of the overall championship, how are you feeling about where you sit, knowing that a couple of the top contenders weren't here this evening?
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to be consistent over the season, and then hopefully have a good season this one, and we're halfway through the season now, so we'll see how the rest folds out.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing the points update after tonight when it's all said and done, mate. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for you. Before we let you go, as always, anyone you want to say hello to is watching along at home?
Yeah, just all the boys over at 266. Our 19 for our livery. You guys for the broadcast every week, like watching them after the race. The other podium getters, and everyone that puts it all together.
As always, a pleasure to have you here in the booth with us, Luke. We'll hopefully get a chance to talk to you a couple more times this season, hey?
All right, see you guys.
Cheers, Luke. Luke Allman takes a P2 in the second race, which leaves us with just one man left to speak to. It is, of course, your race winner. It is Daniel the Dave Meister Yeaman. We're going to make that stick, mate. Welcome on into the booth.
Oh, thanks, Jared. I mean, that's a new one, but I guess, hey, the lads, yeah, they've been giving me a good ribbing about that one there. But yeah, not sure where it came from tonight, apart from we got a bit of fuel saving that seemed to work out, which wasn't even really out of intention, which was car management and just pace management tonight, really, just to make sure we didn't put it in the fence. And apparently we're coming up wins tonight, which, yeah, a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and look, that's certainly where it came from tonight. You were sitting in second for quite a while this evening and trying to find that way through. But in the end, you shaved almost 2 seconds off everyone else's time in the pit bay. Was that always the intent, or was it just the opportunity of the safety car that made you decide to try and get away with, I assume, a bit less fuel than maybe you were originally planning?
Race 1 was definitely a reaction to the fact we had a safety car call, so I could trim fuel in that race. Race 2, because we came in with Mark and with and Luke right behind me, we didn't actually, maybe trimmed a tiniest bit of fuel off of it. Looking at my numbers, I didn't really I think we'd just come in just before the safety or the incident, the tow report was called in, so didn't get a chance to adjust the fuel numbers further, so we were definitely good on fuel tonight. But end of the day, it was just a case of I really couldn't go much faster when I was running mid-pack. Just couldn't find the drive that we needed in some corners, and couldn't take it any deeper in most corners without fear of understeering into the fence. So the safety car in race 1, and we timed that right to be able to adjust our fuel in race 2. I'm not sure how we ended up saving more fuel. Apart from just intention, I did coast into turn 1 was about the only place I was really intentionally taking it a little easy in, just to keep the car settled.
And mate, it's all relative, right? Taking it easy in a field like this is barely any different from full noise anyway most nights, right?
From what I've experienced, yeah, like I'm having to find every little bit that I've got in terms of practice and pace I can extract out of these things to match these guys. I've had the pleasure of watching most of them race on a Thursday night for several seasons, and be their broadcaster for several seasons on a Thursday night when they race in the VA Veterans series. So it's just sort of it is a good experience to now go out and actually be alongside them and see what's up and where I could slot in. I mean, I'm still over 10 years away from joining the vets field, so they don't have to worry about me showing up anytime soon. But But yeah, just a case of getting some time in the car with my guys back at the team and seeing what that might enable me to be able to do for them later on in the year.
Well, you're getting a fair bit of love out there in the chat at the moment. Some David Yeaman fans and a Denzel Yarman fan and all sorts tonight, mate. So,
Denzel was new.
Denzel's new. And you know what? I almost like that more than Dave. I can't decide what we're going to make stick around here, but the one thing that you've got to be careful of is you might have just dobbed yourself in to have constant spam messages from me trying to get into a booth sometime, mate. You never know.
Yeah, well, it's funny enough that these days I spend more time doing stuff other than racing. It feels like on the sim. At least 2 nights a week at the moment I'm broadcasting elsewhere, so I like to consider myself reasonably capable in that field of experience. But yeah, between that, running my own league, which, well, currently the league of the days is Viet Scops when that race is on weekends. And then, yeah, helping manage the team at Logitech GODBM alongside the other team managers is taking up plenty of the time I do get to put into the sim. So this has become a bit of a creative outlet, even though it's the sort of stuff that we generally like doing on the track.
Well, mate, it sounds to me like the only difference between you and I is that you're actually quick when you do get onto track, whereas I just do it for the fun of it. So, we're basically the same person in my book, mate. That's good to hear. Good to hear. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch out on track tonight. Some really, really top racing and a great result for you. As always, before we let you go, anyone that's watching along at home, apart from all of the Danathy Yeoman fans that are now out there as well, it gets better and better the longer we take this. So we'll see what we get by the end of this. But mate, anyone you want to say hello to or a few sponsors to thank?
Yeah, look, of course, thanks to all the guys back at Logitech GODBM, and Logitech is our brand new title sponsor for 2026. So big shout out to Dan Hall for that partnership coming to fruition from his side at Logitech, and primarily Tom Wilkinson back at the team for helping make that possible. But countless other guys contributing to that one. Connor and Brad getting out on track. Unfortunately, Brad tonight, bit of hardware issues leading into the race, so he had to sit out quali in race 1. But looks like he might have got that fixed up in race 2, so he just took some time to get some laps in and double check that. So he'll be looking forward to getting a competitive result back on the board as soon as he can, which hopefully might be next week. And then to iLiveries and Revolution Race Gear, our other main sponsors at the team. Big thanks to them, and then the rest of our partners. Coast Engineering Solutions, Hybrid Racing Simulations, and the Fight Colorectal Cancer campaign over in the States. And big thanks to the ASR guys for letting me come and join in after Connor encouraged me to get a steer in starting round 2. And thanks for the broadcast, guys. Look forward to watching this one back after the fact. And I guess, look, at this rate, let's get a wheel of names going, and we'll see what we can come up with on a week-by-week basis at this rate.
I said your name right tonight. Just want to get that out there. I said your name correctly. So,
before we let you go, Dan, look, a massive thank you for dropping into the booth for a start. I have no idea where Willis Tompkinson's come from, but that's apparently the latest suggestion that's
that's for Tom Wilkinson. You can Blacklock's one of our guys at ODBM. So that's him for some reason having a point the stick at Tom for some reason.
Well, mate, I just want to say thanks for actually putting on a bit of a smoke show after the finish. We don't always get that to show, so I'm always happy to include it. Massive thank you again for dropping on in. Congratulations on the results tonight. And hopefully a chance to chat to you again sometime through the next 5 rounds as well.
If we can find the results, I'll make sure to find my way back here. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Dan. Dan Yeaman there takes the top step here tonight for race number 2. And that is Long Beach, Isaac. It's it's always a good place to come racing. Supercars they're just absolutely made for these sort of tracks. Long Beach, though, always a really challenging one, and everyone giving it everything tonight.
Yeah, it's certainly provided a massive challenge for the drivers this evening, and it's nice to see a couple of familiar faces, but also some new names getting towards the top step of the podium this evening, and really throwing their weight around tonight with the absence of some of the bigger names. Long Beach has certainly provided, as it always does. Tell you what, Jared Cole, I'm very much looking forward to next week when we go to Circuit of the Americas for the NASCAR West layout, not the normal West layout, the NASCAR West layout. The question I have, do we get the NASCAR track limits with it? Because if we do, that is going to be an amazing race, and I'm certainly looking forward to round 6 next week.
Mate, every time I see a NASCAR track layout on the agenda, on the calendar for any series, I know that track limits are a thing of the past for that round, so it'll be really interesting. It's the first time I've ever seen racing at COTA on one of our Simple Racing broadcast bits of coverage. We've not been there ever before, so this will be a very interesting little first look at it. That is, of course, next week. We've still got more racing to come tomorrow night with the MC Motorsport GT3 Championship continuing. That will wrap it up tonight, though, for the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship. As always, brought to you and proudly supported this season again by Gard St. Cobain, and we thank them so much for their ongoing support of this series, as well as Chubby Buns Burgers 24/7 sim services for their race control, AA West Automotive, Quantum Tint Solutions, and Nicol Photography as well behind the scenes and making it all happen for us. It's been another great night of racing here. It's been a pleasure to bring it to you, and we hope to see you back again very, very soon. For everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcast, on behalf of Isaac Fogarty, my name's Jared Cole. It's been great to be here with you once again. Look forward to your company again very, very soon for more great racing action. Until next time, though, it's goodbye for now.